two-time loser. That's all I'll ever be. 'Cause my baby's such a two-timer. You know she... All right. This is so fun. I don't know if you guys have been watching. Oh, God. I went and had coffee with my dear friend Richard Hunter today, like after the first vote, and when I came back, they hadn't even done the third vote yet, and I'm driving back, and they basically call the third vote like and they tap out. You know how good this is? Oh my God. And the like right now, what's happening in the Republican Party is, by the way, this is HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Bless you for joining us. Settle in, because it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Oh shit. So he didn't have the votes in the beginning. Kevin McCarthy did not have the votes. And that he decided his strategy was, I'm going to wear them down. We're just going to keep voting until they learn that I'm not giving up and my supporters aren't giving up. And we're just going to grow this coalition. I'm going to start chipping away. And then the second, it might take to the second vote. Hell, it might take to the third vote. But I'm going to grow my coalition. You know, watch these people embarrass themselves and then dial themselves back. And then in the end, I'm going to have the votes. And by the time he finished, he'd lost 9 more votes. And Hakeem Jeffries had more votes. Hakeem, the Democrat. Yeah. Democratic leader has more votes than Kevin McCarthy. Oh my God, this is good stuff. And the funny thing is, they're going to go through all this shit, and then they're going to lose the majority in the spring. So they lost all 3 votes, and then they called it a night. They have adjourned until noon tomorrow. Now, here's the thing. You know what would be really funny? If the Democrats went and found 6 Republicans that are not planning to run next time and, consider themselves to be part of the Kinzinger-Cheney wing, who would pop over and vote for Hakeem Jeffries, giving him 218. It's so fun. It's so fun. And then, right afterwards, I'm like, all right, what's the response on the Twitter machine? And the first thing that comes up in my trending topics is nominate Trump. Let me tell you something. Donald John Trump, the messiah of the Republican Party, would have fewer votes than Kevin McCarthy. Let me say that again. Donald Trump would end up with fewer votes than Kevin McCarthy. It's so good. There's been a bunch of wailing and gnashing of teeth today. Lauren Boebert, very upset. Hold on, what did she say? We're being sworn at instead of being sworn in.
And so now here we are, being sworn at instead of being sworn in.
She was waiting for applause. Sorry, that was my bad. Back up. I'm sorry, I just wasn't prepared, ma'am. Let's back up here.
Here we are, being sworn at instead of being sworn in. And we could have had this solved months ago. I have been working.
No. No, you could not have. Because you're operating on this labored and psychotic assumption that you are a part of a functioning party, dum-dum.
Every day to unify the Republican Party.
No, not exactly.
For the American people.
No, for what you think is over half the American people, which is actually under a fifth of the American people.
And yesterday, we had a deal that was not a selfish deal in any way.
Yeah. I got a committee position, and I got to jump past a bunch of people with seniority who'd been elected multiple times ahead of me, and that's fair.
For Kevin McCarthy to get him the gavel on the first ballot, and he eagerly dismissed us.
He eagerly dismissed us. By the way, the deal was that any one congressperson, which I suppose would include Democrats. Unfortunately for Dum Dum here, she doesn't recognize that that's a reality. She thinks that one vote to depose the speaker and have another vote would just be allowed in her party, which is stupid. Because if a single person could just stand up and go, I move that we have another vote on speaker, and not everybody's there and they know it, and they have to do it because they made a deal with these dickheads. It's so good. It's so good. It's the laundromats. It's the laundromats. Yeah, just the same shit. Marge is very mad. Large Marge is mad that she is not in charge. And, by the way, shall not be. God, this is so sweet. Are you enjoy? Please tell me you have popcorn. Please tell me all of you have popcorn.
That's what I found out in there. I'm furious. Well, let me tell you something. While the conservatives that the base supports and believes in, let me remind everyone, they're not perfect either.
Yeah, okay. The sun does not shine out of Donald Trump's... Well, it does, actually. That's how I got this tan. It's a spray tan. Oh, God. I just grossed myself out. That's wrong.
Scott Perry, before his general election, refused to vote against the bill that was all about the gay marriage bill. He didn't vote.
That was clear. He refused to vote against the bill that was all about the gay marriage bill. You guys remember that. And you're telling me these people can't get a cohesive statement together on what they want to do? God damn, this is funny.
He refused to vote against it. He voted for it. Then when it came back around after his election, he was able to vote against it. Conservatives would not like that.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Did he vote against gay marriage or for gay marriage? Was he against gay marriage before he was for it, or for gay marriage before he was against it? Does anybody know? What the fuck?
Let me remind
everyone what a serial dumbass I am.
Everyone this. Matt Gaetz, who has compared Kevin McCarthy to Paul Ryan, my friend Matt Gaetz, he supported Paul Ryan almost more than anyone. It's still on his social media.
Fucker. Okay.
As a matter of fact,
excuse me, in his defense, they were in the same boy band in the early 90s.
His first vote in Congress was for Paul Ryan as Speaker.
That motherfucker. And remind me, how many votes did it take for Paul Ryan to become Speaker? I'll wait. Uh-huh.
And then he cheered him on for nearly a year and a half or more when...
Well, then explain your solidarity with him, dum-dum. I don't understand this. So you're now unveiling to the world that Matt Gaetz is a duplicitous fuck that you have been touring with and cozying up to and supporting for years. Because why? You didn't come to this realization early on and go, maybe I take that guy's support with a grain of salt there. You know, I don't know why I turned into Norm Macdonald right there, but it's an easygoing way of speaking.
And people like me were at home furious at Paul Ryan's speakership.
Yeah, but that's because you thought he was part of a baby-eating cabal that, used pizza euphemisms to drink, spine juice smoothies and were, milking children like the Skeksis under the White House, and Obama was in Gitmo. I mean, you You believed a lot of stupid shit back then.
Because it wasn't passing the MAGA agenda that we all supported. Chip Roy, he refused to object on January 6th.
That fucker. Dude, you know what would be so fucking funny? This is so stupid. It'll never happen, but I just think it's funny. If she switched parties, she's not gonna become a Democrat. But if she became an independent like Kristen Sinema, that would be so funny. A bunch of them would. Like they're like, I don't know what the fuck they'd call it, but like I'm not even a Republican anymore. They don't even know what the fuck this thing is. I'm an independent. And they're gonna have to earn my fucking vote. And then go, hey, dum-dum, there are more Democrats elected than there are Republicans elected now, and who gives a shit that you're an independent, because your vote doesn't matter in the percentages as far as party. She doesn't know this. That would be so good.
That's not what our base wanted. He also set out the vote for the January 6th committee. There's many more. Bob Good, $2 million from Kevin McCarthy to get elected. Lauren Boebert, under $2 million from Kevin McCarthy to get elected.
Oh, she's a cheaper date than I thought she was.
Many more people have taken Kevin McCarthy's money to get elected, and then there's a few of them that don't want to support him as Speaker. So,
by the way, is that her way of telling us that she took his money? And that basically, if they leave the money on the dresser, you better be prepared.
Imagine that. This is not anything about the country. This is.
You're right. This has nothing to do with us. You fuckers are a mess. Yeah, the rest of us are fine. We're working on it. Life has its challenges. But you guys are a fucking mess. This is hilarious. Oh, God.
This is all about never Kevin. They just don't like Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, I can't imagine why. He's so charismatic and smart, and he's able to bring people together. That's the thing about him.
You cannot be successful in anything if you aren't able to walk in a room, make what you want, and get a deal done, and then walk away with the W and get to work.
Make what you want, make a deal in the room, and walk away with the W. Hey, shithead! See, that's what they're doing. They're not taking the L. They're outnumbered. There's fucking 12 of them or whatever the fuck, or 6 that are hardcore. They're doing what you're saying. They're like, I'm not taking the L. Fuck you. Which, by the way, they celebrate the shit out of whenever Trump does it. But when these assholes hold out against Kevin McCarthy, they're traitors. I'm not even upset. This is fun.
Work and not worry about who you like and who you don't like.
Says the pipe bomber. Allegedly. Sorry. This is so good.
This is not about prom king. This is not about a pastor. This is about electing a person to sit in the speaker chair so that we can all get to work.
Yeah. The problem is you and that caucus and the rest of the Republicans all have a different idea of what the fuck work is, dummy. Oh, this is so good. My friends at the Freedom Caucus, Matt, Lord Bober, and others, they don't know how to make the art of the deal. Oh, shit. I think I have this clip. I'm pretty sure I don't want to look at it right now. I do not have this. This is her on C-SPAN. So mad that I'm almost tempted to move to D.C. and sit outside of Congress with the camera. That's funny. Okay, here we go. Let's run this back. Oh, all right, can we just enjoy for the moment just the furious, the anger, the perturbedness. Oh God. It's just nice. You know what I mean? I didn't expect 2023 to kind of like, give me a little tickle and a reach around this early. Look how mad they are. Oh God. They just took over. Look how mad they are. Oh God, it's so fun. All right, here we go. What's she saying to C-SPAN?
We have been negotiating, talking, debating back and forth in our conference, trying to come to a really good rules package, and it's amazing. As a matter of fact, I'll quote Matt Gaetz. He said it's exquisite.
Yeah, but he was talking about a 16-year-old girl's prom dress and how much ecstasy he can get his hands on before spring break. I'm kidding, I think. Maybe. Hold on one second. I have to... there you go. Wait.
What?
Yeah, just saying.
That's what he said on our conference call on Sunday.
Uh-huh. Do you think he was winking? Maybe he had two fingers crossed behind his back.
But in that conference meeting there, we found out that there were several members, 3 in fact, that went in last night and were demanding positions for themselves.
Wow. Where the fuck did they think they are? Some GOP coke orgy with a sex guru from the gym?
Demanding gavel positions, demanding...
Oh my God, gavel position. They wanted to be the chairman of the committee, not just committee members. 3 of them. Gee, which 3?
Subcommittees, demanding for people to be taken off committees and people to be put on committees.
Well, yeah, because you'd have to take somebody off because the list had already been made and put them on. So, and by the way, was it you? Because they're mad at you?
3 Republicans out of our 222.
Mm-hmm. 222. I'm guessing there are 2 more with them that caused the problem. 2 people backing them.
I want you all to know I have not done that for myself. The only thing I have done is debate and request and argue among...
Oh, you just requested. I see. You didn't demand a seat on a committee. You just got one, fuckhead. That's exactly the issue. Boebert and Gaetz weren't getting one. You asked, and he gave you one, and you're voting for him. And they didn't get one. This is fucking great. Okay.
My peers for the right things, for the rules package, and...
Yeah, the right things. It's just I'm the right thing. They're the wrong thing.
And for our agenda for the American people. And that's the only thing I've done. I haven't asked for one thing for myself. And I'm the only...
Well, that's because everything she does is for the American people.
Republican that has 0 committees. So you would think I would be the one in there asking for something, but I haven't done that. But I find out that it's my...
Yeah, but I mean, we all know you don't want to actually have to do any work.
My Freedom Caucus colleagues and my supposed friends that went and did that, and they asked nothing for me.
Oh, God. After all this, like, I didn't ask for anything from myself, and they went and they asked for things for them, but they didn't ask for anything for me, and I don't want anything, but they didn't even ask, and,
Nothing. That's what I found out in there.
This is great.
Furious. Well, let me tell you something. While the conservatives that the base supports and believes in, let me remind everyone, they're not perfect either. Scott Perry, before his general election,
Okay, so this is the other angle of the thing we watched before.
refused to vote against the bill that was all about the gay marriage bill.
Right, yeah. So again, we already saw that. It's just fucking gibberish. Oh, it's so good. There's so much of this, and they're just chewing the shit out of each other. This is you.
I rise to cast my vote for the Honorable Jim Jordan.
Well, there isn't an Honorable Jim Jordan. There's just the one you work with. So, there's just the asshole Jim Jordan, spelled G-Y-M. These are the nominations. Jeffries got 12. McCarthy got 17. Biggs 2. Others present 0. Oh, let's see. No Democrats are going to vote present, by the way. They're all going to be there because they don't want to water down the vote. Oh, yeah, here's... This is, yeah, this was fascinating. Here's Matt Gaetz talking about how he wants the Republicans to do real shit when they have the gavel, not theater like Benghazi. Check this shit out.
But we were threatened by my committee chairman to be on the Armed Services Committee, Mr. Rogers, that if we did not vote for Mr. McCarthy, we would be removed from committees. Our position is that if Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House and we don't have an ability to ensure that there is oomph behind the agenda and
Yes, it's the oomph caucus. What a dipshit.
energy behind our oversight, that the committee assignments don't mean that much anyway. I'm not here to participate in some puppet show where
By the way, look at Lauren Boebert just kind of like, is it my turn?
we pass a bunch of messaging bills, send them to the Senate, watch them die, fail to use leverage, and don't hold the Biden administration accountable. I don't want to relive the Benghazi experience where it's just theater pretending to be oversight, right? We can do better
And she said, right. Like, there it is. They're the Republicans admitting that Benghazi was just theater.
than that, and that's
Posing as oversight.
our purpose today. But we were
Why is his nose red? I'm gonna guess that Trump has a calloused ass. That's my guess. This is so good. It's so good. It's just so yeah. There's nominate Trump. That came up. Oh god, it's so good. It's so fun. Here we go. This is the. Let's go to videos. I don't know if there will be any. Matt Gaetz vows to nominate Trump as House Speaker if Republicans win back the House. He did not, by the way. He did not do that. McCarthy. Lou. Who? Yeah. Now, obviously, Mac said, I don't care if you go to plurality. Yeah, that was funny. I don't care if we go to plurality. This is him talking about this. Matt Gaetz apparently said this. Hold on. This is good stuff. Like, Matt Gaetz, he's part of the Burn It All Down caucus. Oh, well, no, 1 second. I have to click on this.
For a long time. I've been leader for 4 years.
Well, leader, obviously, in quotes.
I came into this position and we had less than 200 members. We are now sitting in the majority.
Because of gerrymandering. And you almost didn't get it. And you're going to lose.
We put forth
It took you electing people like George Santos to put you over the
to the
top.
American public a commitment to America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was hilarious. We all have it memorized.
There's times we're going to have to argue with our own members if they're looking at
Yes, now is one of those times.
for only positions
Also, tonight is one of those times. Also, tomorrow morning is one of those times. Also, tomorrow afternoon, also one of those
for
times.
themselves, not for the country. For the last 2 months, we worked together as a whole conference to develop rules that empower all members.
Yeah, all Republican members.
But we're not empowering certain members over others.
Yeah. You don't recognize that that's why this group of assholes got elected in the first place?
Last night I was presented the only way to have 218 votes if I provided certain members with certain positions, certain gavels, to take over the church committee, to have certain budgets. And they even came to the position where one, Matt Gaetz, said, I don't care if we go to plurality and we elect Hakeem Jeffries and it hurts the new frontline members not to get reelected.
I mean, Matt Gaetz said that out loud during the Republican caucus. Oh, God. This is, by the way, I would like to remind you that these assholes think they should be in charge of everything because they run things better than other people run things.
Well, that's not about America, and I will
I happen to think it is. I like Hakeem Jeffries. I think he's a pro.
always fight to put the American people first, not a
Well, certain ones.
few individuals that want something for themselves. So we may have a battle on the floor.
Oh yeah. Turns out that's exactly how it worked. And by the way, in that battle, you lost 3 times. But hey, look at it this way. You may have lost the battles, plural. No, that's it. I thought it was going to, but not. No, the war's done too. Yeah.
But the battle is for the conference and the country, and that's fine with me.
Well, you don't really have a choice, do you, stupid? So good. Yeah, by the way, this this clip, which somebody was putting in, like, remember when Kevin McCarthy lost his bid for Speaker in 2015 after admitting publicly sole purpose of the Benghazi Select Committee was to hurt Hillary Clinton's election chances? Matt Gaetz was specifically referencing the last time Kevin McCarthy lost. You see? Yeah, good stuff. This is funny. I want to hear, this is George Santos voting for Kevin McCarthy.
Santos.
If that is your real name.
McCarthy. Sarbanes.
Look at everybody booed. That's amazing. Oh, this is so good. Boebert reveals what happened in the early meeting with McCarthy. He says, okay, here we go. This is, I mean, basically, it's interesting that she and MTG are saying basically the same shit back and forth to each other.
Kevin McCarthy asked us, what committees do you want to be on? We want to be able to spread your influence and these conservative voices out over all committees. Which committees are you asking for? We presented that list, and then we were told that it was just a wish list, and this was for personal gain and not the country.
And you went, duh.
Well, in the absence of trust, personnel is vital. And so we have to be sure that we have strong conservative voices on these committees to make
Right, that's why you were passed over, because you're not a strong conservative voice, you're a fucking lunatic.
sure that we do have spending under
Oh my God, please tell me if, all right, if there wasn't a legit chance for Hakeem Jeffries to become the speaker because the Democrats hold their 212, it would be fucking hilarious if one of the Democrats nominated, I mean, I guess they could vote whatever way they want, nominated George Santos, but voted for Hakeem Jeffries tomorrow at noon. Just to dick with them? Come on, please. You can do it. You can. He can't vote yet. He hasn't sworn in. That doesn't stop you. You can vote somebody new in. You don't have to be a member of Congress. That's why they could put Trump in. Oh, God. I mean, come on. That would be hilarious. Come on. Some Democrat. You can still vote for Hakeem Jeffries. But nominate George and call him George DeVolder. Because that's what's on his license.
control when we get that authority back in September, since it was surrendered in the omnibus bill. But Kevin McCarthy is fully aware of what we are asking for. And
yeah, and he said no. Next.
This is something that needs to be addressed. We haven't heard anything from him from these last.
Yes, you have. You've heard no.
3 ballots that we have seen increased opposition against Kevin McCarthy on. So I think it's pretty simple. He could come to us at any time and say, let's work together to unify the.
Yeah, he did say that, and you told him to fuck off. You wanted to be the chairman of a committee, stupid.
Party and get our country back on track, just as each and every one of us campaigned on.
Uh-huh. Oh, God. This is so... It just gets better. Hold on. Listen, Kevin McCarthy is taking the path of Nancy Pelosi. He fucking wishes. He's taking the path of the Oregon Trail. You have died of dysentery. Shit.
So I've said from the beginning that my hard line was the motion to vacate. Single member motion to vacate. You cannot.
Okay, think about for a second how fucking insane that is. Are you totally stupid? One member of the House at any time can call for a motion to vacate the speakership and vote for a new speaker. All the Democrats have to do is wait until a bunch of your people don't show up for whatever fucking reason. Pick a day when they're not present and outvote you. Are you that fucking stupid? Because all the Democrats are going to vote for Hakeem Jeffries. Like, that's locked. Are you every day, all day, like middle of a bill? Madam President, I vote motion to vacate. I request a roll call and then a person-to-person vote. But half the Republicans are out. They're at CPAC this weekend. Tough shit. The motion carries. Only one person needs to do this. Are you out of your fucking mind? What? Can you imagine the fucking chaos? I mean, it's bad enough they wanted 5. But the chaos of it, can you imagine if you had recall elections in any state for any position that one voter could stand up? Are you fucking bananas? Honest to God, why? Why would you even expect him to say yes?
Not demand more responsibility and less accountability.
That's too much accountability. You cannot be accountable one-to-one in a representative government. When you have almost 500 members, but one of them can go, fuck you, you're out. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Especially since you're just basically handing the reins to the other party all day, every day.
And Kevin McCarthy was taking the path of Nancy Pelosi and following her precedents with the motion to vacate. We were just told when we left this door.
By the way, for the record, these assholes have the 5 votes amongst themselves to motion to vacate Kevin McCarthy anytime they fucking want. They do not, however, have the brains not to do it when they don't have the votes to make a Republican the Speaker of the House.
We will give you single member motion to vacate.
I just, like, I don't even know who the fuck thinks that's a good idea. It's just absurd.
Just today, that was the starting point for negotiations.
What? How would that be this? That's the fucking wish list crazy pants. That reminds me of like the Steve Martin thing about like, I always ask for, I want $1 million, a fully loaded airplane, and a pilot to take all the hostages out of here. And I want the letter getaway car, and I want the letter M stricken from the English language. I always use one crazy one in case I get arrested. I can plead insanity. Getaway car. It's one of my favorite jokes of it. Like this is the I want the letter M stricken from the English language request. You don't think there's one fucking punk spoiler on the Democratic side that, Your Honor, I would like a roll call vote on in the middle of every Republican legislative vote. And if they don't get their ass down here, Hakeem Jeffries is going to be Speaker.
That was the starting point to everything that we are wanting.
Yes, the starting point is give me all your money or your life. That's the negotiation. I don't know why he didn't jump at it.
To transform the way Washington, D.C. operates.
Yes, into total fucking chaos. I guess that's the opposite of any kind of establishment. If you think the establishment of anything is bad, which is like something you can actually maintain and create, we're gonna 180 how things are run in Washington. You know, the modicum of like civility and function that the city has. Fuck that.
If you go to the American people and ask them if Congress is doing a good job, if they like the way things are run in Washington, D.C.
Wait till they hear about the one person can trigger a roll call vote on the speakership anytime they want. How many Republicans do you think are for that?
You're probably going to get a big hell no. We want to change the way things are done here. We didn't offer up a personal wish list.
Yes, we want to vote by flinging poo like a bunch of gibbons. The ayes have it.
We were told to provide lists of what members need to be seated.
Oh, wait, by the way, this is the part where she kind of steps into, I think, like she was going pretty good. She had her stupid talking point, but she was like, we just want accountability for the American people. And then she lets the cat out of the bag about, we were told to give him our list.
Need to be seated on what committees? And we did exactly that. And then
and then we're told, you're a fucking lunatic. You know, let me take this. Hakeem Jeffries appears to get equally louder applause than Kevin McCarthy as he's nominated for Speaker. Of course he does. Because the entire Democratic caucus is all in on the dude. There's George Santos showing up at his office, not wearing his glasses. I guess it's a contacts day. And also saying, I think the only thing he said was that he's going to vote for Kevin McCarthy. This is at the beginning of the day.
Oh, Stephanie, go right ahead. You finish it.
Leader, are you going to stay in the race, Leader McCarthy? You're not
Yes,
dropping off.
I'm not going anywhere. Are you sick? No, I just went.
Can I trade places with you?
We did
By the way, are you sick because the guy's wearing a mask?
have an intense conference, and it's intense for a purpose.
Yeah. That purpose is not electing a speaker, but yeah, I mean, there's a purpose to it. I think it's a bunch of ego dick wagging is what I think the purpose was.
We have worked for a long time. I've been leader for 4 years.
Okay, and we saw the rest of this clip, but without this kind of weird douchebag "are you sick" part. Okay, let's jump in because apparently we got to get the inside scoop, and Lana Douche is gonna. Sorry, I am not dressed for Lana Douche. Hold on one second. This is better. There I go. Hello, I'm Dana Loesch. Kidding. Okay, here we go. This is the divide between. This is in the description. I have not watched this. The divide within the GOP has never been more apparent, with a handful of Republicans not voting for Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. Even more trouble could brewing. Words hurt sometime when leave face. Could brewing. Dana is joined by Texas Rep 24th District Beth Van Duyne. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Duyne. And if it isn't, that's how I'm pronouncing it from now on. Beth Van Duyne. Hey, from the House floor with updates. Very exciting. So inside scoop. Tell us what's up. She's got her on the phone. Let's do it.
From the Republic of Texas, who just stepped off the floor momentarily. I think the first time in a century.
Momentarily.
That the speaker bid failed in the first round. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us and being flexible with your time. What is the latest here? I heard Byron Donalds was nominated, but apparently he didn't expect it.
No. I saw his face when Chip Roy nominated him, and it was definitely not expected. You've had five different folks that Republicans who voted against Kevin McCarthy nominated. It would be good if everybody was on the same page. I mean,
would it? Yeah, Lana Douche. Dana Loesch. I'm sorry, Lana Douche. Yeah.
Right now we're looking at, they just finished up the first round of votes.
Narrator. The next two rounds of votes didn't go even as well as that.
No member has enough to win, so we're going to have
you know what? I think it's just that they're tired of winning. That's what
to go through a
They needed to take a break.
Second round of votes. It may be a long day, it may not be, but
it turned out to be a long day.
It's frustrating. You know, I think.
No, it isn't. It's not frustrating at all, actually. It's kind of hilarious.
After the midterms, so many of us were excited that we were going to win a large majority. When you have
yeah, and you didn't. You just got a squeaker, and your caucus is full of Freedom Caucasians who are just assholes.
Large majority, the people that are in charge are normal, wanting to get things policy-focused Republicans in office. When you've got a narrow majority, you've got the extremes.
Yeah, you're being held hostage by the lunatics. Gotcha.
Are in charge, and that could be that couldn't be more obvious than we're seeing right now. But
right, she's basically taking the coward's way out and describing Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and the rest of those as lunatic assholes holding the whole party hostage, which of course they are. Oh, my mic is popping again. Son of a bitch! What is it? I think I need an update of a software somewhere. It's driving me crazy. I apologize.
I think it's pretty clear from the American people's votes in the midterms that Democrats were not doing the job. They were not.
Yeah, they were. I mean, especially the part where they just have to elect their leaders and get about business. They passed a shit ton of bills. Biden signed 65 before you guys took over. They were doing their job.
They were not leading us in the right direction.
Well, that's a matter of opinion because you're from the other party. But they were definitely leading. If they weren't leading, then what's all that open border bullshit about?
People voted against it.
That just happened organically, I guess?
But I think it also proved that because it wasn't such a large majority that we won by, that the American people are somewhat doubtful that Republicans can lead.
I don't know where they got that idea. Well, at least you put that to bed today. Oh, God.
And it's frustrating that we just fought to get the majority back, and we're not leading right now.
Because
you can't.
First day back in office.
Because this could go on, talking with Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne, because this could go on.
Excuse me, it's Beth Van Duyne.
I mean, for quite some time. I mean, we were talking about historically, there was a 2-month period when no one was able to determine who was going to be speaker, and that went on for quite a while. And no other business can get done, correct? I mean, this has to get done before anything else.
No.
You can't.
Yeah, it's almost like working is hard. Yeah. But you're bootstrappers, you guys are all rugged individualists. Maybe, you know what? Maybe you guys vote to pass a rule, nobody for speaker. Government's too big anyways. This is a Republic. Maybe Rep Van Duyne can put this forward. Just come out and I nominate no speaker whatsoever. I'm part of the Chaos Caucus. The Chaos Caucasians.
You can't get any of the new members or the old members sworn in until a leader has been, until a speaker has been elected. So until a speaker has been elected, business basically stops on the floor.
Wow. And you were, how did you vote on McCarthy? Where do you stand on all of this? Wow. I mean, I always think that if you're going to challenge the speaker, you need to have a good substitute. And it seems like the people that I would like are not interested in doing.
Really? They're not interested in herding a bunch of feral cats with rabies and diarrhea.
Where does that leave us?
Well,
it leaves you with a group of self-involved assholes trying to pass themselves off as a political party. That's what it is. Because the nomination and election of Donald Trump created a situation where egomaniacs reign on the right-wing side of things. That is the defining characteristic of what makes you a good Republican now. And that's really a problem when you have to do representative government, which these assholes have no interest in doing, for the record. This kind of, believe me, Vladimir Putin is masturbating to this chaos and nonsense. It's not ultimately going to affect anything. We passed a shit ton of bills, including the budget. Shit's going to continue to get done and go forward no matter what. And if Biden had to do everything the rest of what he wants to do through executive order, he could get a good majority of things done.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean,
wipe off my input jack. The problem is it's not an input jack. This is a USB mic, which is weird. That's why I think it's strange. I'm not quite sure. And wait a minute. See if this makes it better. Does that make it better? Does that That do it? Hold on. I might be louder too. Did that fix it?
What was the plan B? And, you know, I have
What was the plan B? The plan B was Jim fucking Jordan, you dunce.
talked to members of the Freedom Caucus in great detail about, okay, what's
The Free Dumb Caucus. Well, maybe if they had the kind of dumb you can charge for, it'd be of a higher quality.
your plan B?
Sorry. Okay, I tried to fix it with that, but it didn't work.
And unfortunately, I mean, as you've seen, we've had 4 or 5 different people nominated. Their plan B was all over the board. And it is frustrating. You know, you look at Kevin McCarthy, who's been very clear that he wanted to make sure that we got the majority. He has raised money, he has fought, he has traveled across the country to be able to bring
Yeah, but because he had to.
that to reality.
That's an exasperated sigh. Enjoy that. Let that soak in.
voted for McCarthy because quite honestly, there was no plan B. I saw how much work he put in the last 4 years to get the majority back. But more importantly,
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with him. If it wasn't for the gerrymandering in 2 states, they wouldn't have had the majority. He would have fucked it up again and overseen 3 cycles of losing power. Literally, that's what put them over the top.
even that. You've got 220 plus members right now of the Republican conference from different perspectives, from different districts. And you got one guy who has to represent them all, the speaker. But I don't look at necessarily the speaker as the one doing the work. Who is he putting in place of responsibility, power, and influence?
Right. And that's the problem, is that the assholes who want to take over are insisting that they be put in positions of power, and they absolutely in no way deserve it. Believe me, not that anyone in this fucking ridiculous pile of assholes passing itself off as a political party has any business being in charge of anything, but especially not the Lauren Boeberts of the world.
And I see him putting people like James Comer in. I see him putting people like Jim Jordan in. Those very conservative, very headstrong and articulate members who are going to be able to get the job done.
Well, of course he's going to do that. But that's not good enough for the absolute lunatic fringe.
Not to interrupt, but Jim Jordan, he would be head of House Judiciary Committee, and that's Jim Jordan's who you would want to head that. That's a powerful
Will he finally wear a jacket?
Position.
Yes. And Comer on oversight.
Yeah, that's a powerful position. You can, I'm here to tell you, you can waste a lot of fucking time on that committee.
Because we've got to get down to so many different...
Yeah, draft Herschel Walker. Is that what you're... Patui?
Questions that have not been asked over the last 2 to 4 years. And I think those 2 members...
What questions have not been asked? If ivermectin is a good Viagra substitute, the fuck are you talking about?
In particular, are very strong and would be the ones to put in those positions. And we've seen McCarthy be willing to work with Freedom Caucus members, bend over backwards. I think the frustrating part of the last couple of weeks.
Well, apparently that's the problem. He's been willing to bend over backwards. They're asking him to bend over forwards. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It wasn't as if the negotiations were going on between 2 factions. They were going on between 20 individuals.
Oh, that's problematic.
And that was really frustrating for the rest of the Congress.
Last 2 quick questions for you. If there had been, somebody like a Jordan or even a Chip Roy who were in the position to challenge McCarthy and they actually wanted to do the job, those would be my choices. They don't want to do it, but if they did, would you have supported something like that? And then number 2, are we in a period, are we like really facing the threat of having like a interim Democrat kind of lead all of this?
Sorry, just enjoying that statement a little bit too much. I'm sorry. Pardon me. Give me a moment. Don't threaten me with a good time, lady.
That's the big fear that everyone has. Newt Gingrich has been warning everybody.
No. It's not a big fear that I have. It's actually fine.
About this.
So I did not see Jordan did not want it. I did not see Chip make a play for it at all. But what I do know is I've said you've got 220 different voices that all expect to be heard, and some.
Yeah. Unlike, I don't know, homogenous groups like the Voters of America. So you're trying to tell me that Republicans have a hard time listening to and responding to the needs of 220 people. And by the way, isn't it 222? So is she not counting herself and the speaker? Is that what it is? She's on that side of one thing? Oh, shit.
Somebody that has to represent them. And I think having someone who is on the extremes is going to be very difficult to bring the
You think?
conference together. And when I say extremes, I don't mean just the Freedom Caucus. I mean, you also have your moderate Republican, your left to moderate.
Yes, yeah. Those extremist moderates are always difficult to deal with. Oh, shit. I don't know. Where do you go? Where do you go? The Republican Party is a hall of mirrors. When the moderates are too radical, what the fuck are you talking about?
Republicans who are equally as forceful. And I think you need to have somebody who is a balance.
The moderates are equally as forceful. Why would moderates have to be equal? All right. Because you're giving too much to the radicals and they don't earn the space.
Now, what was your last question?
Nobody cares. I mean, she can say it again, but it's not going to change a fucking thing.
Are we in the territory of maybe perhaps having
a Democrat being elected?
Yes. I don't like your laugh.
Happening.
Yeah. Hakeem Jeffries has more votes than Kevin McCarthy, and McCarthy has the most votes of any Republican. Good night, ding, 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 ding. Good night, ding, ding, ding.
Oh, no.
No. I do not see that happening. But you and I both.
Yeah, hey, stupid. You didn't see this coming. You didn't see McCarthy not having the votes coming for months.
Live in Texas, you know how hard it is with the Texas state legislature making deals to get a Republican speaker nominated when they start giving over gavels to Democrats.
Oof.
I do not want to see that. And I'll tell you, that would make me vote against anybody who would be willing to do that. We've already seen it in Texas.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, stupid. In this interim situation, the Democrats would just have more votes for speaker. And if too many Republicans vote present, it changes the balance of how many you need. And if they overshoot by 2 votes, all you need is 212 over 211, and Hakeem Jeffries is Speaker of the fucking House.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, there you go. Right, that's a great point too, because we
No, it isn't.
deal with that all the time in Austin.
Ugh, it's terrible.
Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne, we appreciate you joining.
Excuse me, it's Beth Van Dyne.
Us, and
you.
we're gonna keep watching, see how this all plays out. Thanks.
Yeah, you know why? You know why you're going to keep watching? Because you don't have a choice. Because you have not picked a leader, and it's the first time it's happened in 100 years. Oh my God. The Dems should nominate Nancy. I think she's technically Speaker till then. Okay, so we've seen her live, in the hallway remarks. So there might be some overlap in this, but she went on Steve Bannon's show to kvetch about the people voting against Kevin McCarthy. It's so good.
I've been leader for 4 years.
Which is enough for anybody.
I came into this position and we had less than 200 members. We are now sitting in the majority. We put forth to the American public a commitment to America. There's times we're going to have to argue with our own members if they're looking at...
We saw all this shit. Okay, here we go. Back up.
Want something for themselves. So we may have a battle on the floor.
Turns out they did.
But the battle...
By the way, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Hi. Historic day. For the first time in 100 years, the House of Representatives in the United States failed to elect a speaker because the Republicans are fighting amongst themselves. and they've got a hair's breadth majority, and they're a bunch of fucking idiots.
Battle is for the conference.
Which, I mean, that's not news, but it's interesting.
And the country, and that's fine with me.
Okay. Let me take it. By the way, is that a misdirection play, Congressman Green, about these names and about people asking for it? Because isn't this at the end of the day, and the reason that, you know,
tip of the spear, armor piercing shell. What part of this is signal, and which part of it is noise?
So many of your most ardent followers, particularly in the war room, are shocked every time you come up and pitch for Kevin McCarthy. Isn't this the 12-year fight of the populist versus the cartel? And Kevin McCarthy just represents the worst elements of the cartel, ma'am.
Ma'am. First of all, please keep calling her ma'am after you've called her congressman a bunch of times. The fact that these assholes are referring to the kind of run-of-the-mill regulars of their own political party as the cartel.
Ma'am?
Yeah, you know what, Steve? Here, let me tell everyone. You know what?
Let me tell you something.
What people might not like right now is that I'm telling them the truth.
Yeah, people hate the truth. They hate the truth, which is that you've been full of shit and cradling Matt Gaetz's balls for years now, and you never liked him and never trusted him, ever. And you've been lying to people about it. And now you flip-flopped on the maggots, and you're supporting Kevin McCarthy. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were telling us the truth.
What do you want? Do you want me to sit on your show and lie to everyone?
Yeah, that's pretty much the gig. You could at least try. Let them down easy. Truth, sometimes like sunlight, burns. It is filters and shadows that soften it. You're going to give everybody melanoma.
Because if that's what you want from Marjorie Taylor Green, you are never going to get it.
Is it me or does she sound defensive? Shadow Woman, thank you so much for the gifting of the subs.
Refuse to lie to anyone. And simply right now, because the base doesn't like what I'm telling them, it doesn't.
Fuck the base, Marjorie Taylor Green.
Doesn't mean that it's not the truth. I'm telling you 100% the truth because that is my job.
Yeah, Mama Bear is here. And the truth is, we don't have enough food and we're going to have to eat some of the cubs.
That's the only thing I want to do. I want to rip it all wide open. You know.
And by it, she means Lauren Boebert.
Why I'm upset?
Because you're intellectually incapable of understanding the job or the task ahead of you, and it's very frustrating, kind of like a chimpanzee who's trying to operate some sort of lever to get a food pellet, and they switched it just to see whether or not it would affect you emotionally. Is that the reason?
Because Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, and Scott Perry, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus.
The Freedom Caucus. Yes, tell us. They're awful. Tell us how they're a bunch of liars, and you never trusted them to begin with.
Walked in Kevin McCarthy's office last night and made their own personal demands.
Oh my God, they did not.
For which subcommittee chairmanships they want to have, and who they want on committees, and who they want taken off committees. And guess what? The chairman of the Freedom Caucus negotiated nothing for me.
Right. She's not mad because they came in there and did that, and it's ethically wrong and you know, manipulative or anything. She's pissed she wasn't included. That's extraordinary. She said this a couple of times already. It could be a Freudian slip once. Now she's fucking mad.
Nothing for me. And I'll back this up even further.
Yeah. So you're saying you got nothing?
I read text messages.
Yeah, we've been reading text messages too from January 6th. Fuck you, lady.
From these people.
But hold it.
But that's all, folks.
But hang on. But this wasn't personal. This wasn't. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Go ahead.
I can't imagine why the caucus didn't go well.
No, I really need to say this. People need
Go
to
ahead.
understand that this is one vote. Do you know where all the fights really are? We have to get to 218 on every single bill we pass.
Yeah. It's starting to sink in, isn't it? Starting to realize the issue. That the only way you get to it, because of the Matt Gaetzes of the world, to get anything through is to incorporate some Democrats, which means you have to give them something and make it bipartisan and leave out the poison pills, or you won't get any of them, and the other people, the Andy Biggs crowd, will vote against it just to be an asshole. Again, don't threaten me with a good time.
We have to get to 218
And you can't.
to actually make anything happen on the House
Yeah. Again, they don't plan on anything actually happening.
floor. And out of 222 members, that is practically impossible.
Democrats manage to do it all the time. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's Maybelline.
That's where my power is. That's where every single conservative has power, is with our voting card. And if
Yes, because there are so few of you compared to the other side that any wedge at all destroys your entire legislative agenda. You starting to understand that the next 2 years are going to be miserable for Republicans? Ugh.
if anyone thinks that this is the hill to die on, they are absolutely wrong. Because every single bill that we have to go in there, we have to fight for conservative.
Yeah, but stupid, the speaker decides which things get to the floor. So it's not just what gets to the floor, but what, what stage gets them to the floor. What draft of the legislation gets to the floor. And if the Freedom Caucus thinks Kevin McCarthy is going to make deals because they'll vote against everything just to be assholes because they want the government to collapse, then he's got to make deals with Democrats to get these things to the floor, and the draft will be more favorable to them than the Freedom Caucus would want, and therefore they'll stomp their feet and shut shit down, and she knows that's where they are.
Principles. We have to fight for America first on these bills. And that is what I am dedicated to do. It's not about the person we put in there as speaker. It's
Yeah, but it kind of is.
about fighting for the right things for our country. And that is exactly what I'm going to do, Steve.
Okay, by the way, she notice how she just fell back on campaign language because she ran out of steam.
I just want to make sure, but Gaetz, Perry, and Boebert on the meeting last night, if this was what was explained at the conference, weren't asking for themselves personally. They had very specific recommendations on subcommittee chairs, committee chairs, etc. But they were putting that forward as and specific names, including people that would join you on the Rules Committee, that very specific names that they felt would give a more conservative.
I've said I've put in every single one of us, Steve, every member of Congress, we get to fill out a form and write on the form which committees we would like. I just made my request like everyone else. I didn't go in someone's office and get behind closed doors and demand this is what I want in order for me to vote for you.
I was expecting them to do that for me, and then they didn't. Fuck them.
I didn't do that. Not at all. I looked at an agenda, and I've talked with many of our colleagues in our Republican conference and said, this is what we need to do. This is what America needs. We have to secure our border. We have to hold the Biden administration accountable.
Yeah, by the way, that phrase means nothing.
Look at what has happened on Twitter files. That is unbelievable. The FBI.
Yeah, it's not believable.
The CIA, and God knows who else.
Probably I'm going to go with the Department of Education? No. DEA? Nah. YMCA?
Been censoring Americans on social media.
No, they haven't.
And it goes way past Twitter. It goes to Facebook, Instagram, and all other kinds of places, Google especially. But think about this. They're walking in there and making deals for themselves. These are people that I have aligned myself with, but they have personally attacked me simply because I've said, let's do our jobs and not play a personality contest.
Oh, weird. So the entire MAGA anti-establishment rebellion, revolution bullshit that you guys all prided yourself on during the campaigns. Apparently, the problem is that they didn't get the message that it was all bullshit. What was that talk about saying fuck it and making your move? Or was that all bullshit? That was all bullshit, Joel.
I'm sick and tired of the personality contest.
Because you're losing?
That's the Never Trump movement. The Never Trump movement
is now the Never McCarthy movement. Next thing you know, it'll be the Never Marge movement. It's coming. It's right around the corner.
It's simply against MAGA, against President Trump, because they don't like him. Enough of this. I don't care who anybody likes and who they don't like. We have a damn job to do.
Why start now?
That is why we are here. We have a job to do. And so let me tell conservatives across.
For the record, though, Lauren Boebert and Biggs and all those assholes, Jim Jordan, whatever, like, they think their job is to dig their feet into the ground, anchor themselves, and not move and fuck the whole thing up. They do. It's not that they're not doing their job. It's just that's what they think their job is.
Across the country something. You better be careful when someone is saying, trust us, we have a plan, and they won't tell you what the plan is.
Wait a minute. Do you have a copy of Trump's healthcare plan? Huh? The fuck are you talking about? What about his plan to get out of Afghanistan? Do you have a copy of that shit? What the fuck?
At least Kevin McCarthy has put out a plan extensively.
Yeah, which is more than Trump ever did. And yet, all right.
All over the media, all over his website, and every single press conference he gives, and every.
By the way, it isn't a plan. It's an outline of priorities. There's no plan. There's no legislation. There's no vote structure. There's no actual strategy. It's just a list of, like, right-wing talking points.
Single interview he does. At least we know the public plan, and it's.
What is it? Quote it. Fire it off. It's easy to remember.
Something that 222 Republican members can get aligned behind.
Apparently, you just said they can't, because getting 218 votes on any of it is, a near impossibility?
And work our butts off to make it happen. That's what we owe the American people, because I know regular people at home, they're not working hard at work to pay their taxes for us to come up here and be mad and say, oh, I'm not voting for that person. I just don't like him.
You're kidding, right? They just, this is like an old myth about how the moon and the sun change places in the sky. Like, every night she drowns irony in a bathtub, and every morning when she comes in to take a shower, it beats the shit out of her.
He gave me everything I asked for, but it's just not enough. That is ridiculous. We have a job to do, and it's time to get to work.
Real quickly, because I know you got to. When you say take,
real quickly, because I know I've got to get you out of here, because our viewers are upset with you for supporting Kevin McCarthy.
Take the win, and you're telling Gaetz and you're telling Boebert and Perry and the Freedom Caucus and Chip Roy and these guys, take the win. Be specific. What do you mean by that? What is the win that you're?
Control of the House of Representatives. You fucking stooge. Even I know what the fuck she's talking about. Without, by the way, control of it without a giant, albatross hanging around the neck of whoever becomes speaker, that it took them forever to get a vote to pass, and their own caucus doesn't support them. Because going into, 2024, that's going to fuck the whole thing up. This is so stupid. Yeah, he definitely knows diagram 65.
You're defining that is the real win here, and not some performative smoke and mirrors, ma'am.
The win is, to quote
Thank you, Water God.
Matt Gaetz, the exquisite rules package. That's what he called it. That is what we have debated on for months.
By the way, the fact that Matt Gaetz used the word exquisite is fucking gross. Does that not just the idea? Imagine Matt Gaetz with his big stupid face and his big dumb hair saying exquisite. You know what I mean? The fuck? Get out of here.
Now, the rules package that has been put together.
Exquisite. Ew.
That is talked about, that we have talked about extensively, of returning Congress to the way it functions and making it work for the country. Matt Gaetz calls it an exquisite rules package.
I think you just heard him talking about he was discussing his package with some like page. I got an exquisite rules package over here. Ew, I'm just here to take lunch orders. I got your lunch order. Quit it.
That is what he called it on our conference call on Sunday.
Which, by the way, is gross. And what the fuck are you talking about?
Take it. Take the win. And I'm going to tell you something, Steve. I'm not tired of winning.
Well, I know, because you're a there.
I want to keep winning. I feel like President Trump. I want to keep going.
You do? You feel winded when you walk up 3 stairs?
As long as possible.
I would see a doctor.
Okay, that's the buzzer. I'm heading down to the House floor right
real
now.
Real quickly, how many votes are you prepared to tell McCarthy to sit there before you go back to conference? When you're in McCarthy's ear, how many votes do you think you ought to be going on today?
He is not leaving. He is not leaving. It is unbelievable. He just sit there and swore up and down to our entire conference. He's not leaving, and neither is everybody else. So,
well, there you go. He's not leaving, and neither is everybody else. Well, that's I think we got ourselves a Freedom Caucus standoff then. I'm sure she's felt Donald. Oh, come on. Right, Mr. Ex-Husband? Yeah. She's not tired of winning. Because, what, barely once?
So it's time for my friends to take the win. Let's do our jobs. Okay, I'm out. I got to go. Thanks, Steve.
Congressman Green, thank you for it's an honor to have you on.
He did it again. He did it again. Every time Mike Pillow comes on, he fucks with him and laughs right in his goddamn face. And then every time she's leaving, listen to what he calls her.
So it's time for my friends to take the win. Let's do our jobs. Okay, I'm out. I got to go. Thanks, Steve.
Congressman Green, thank you for it's
Congressman Green. Excuse me. Oh, God. It's just Congressman Green. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. It's a particularly good day. It's a historic day. It's a 1 in 100 year day in the history of the Congress. Let's see. Currently, Mike Pillow is running for the head of the RNC. And the current head, Ronna McDaniel, is it looks like she's going to be reelected because it does not require, it just is a plurality of votes. There doesn't have to be a percentage of the overall. There's no other party voting in the process. And so Pillow's going to end up with fucking 16 votes and a bunch of, clamoring assholes yelling stuff. Meanwhile, she apparently is concerned about the optics. This is her on Fox News. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Don't forget to give a like, subscribe, support the show. Because, by the way, not only has yours truly helped you get through some of the bumpier parts of this ride, but did I not call it? Did I not tell you? You got nothing to worry about. All right, here we go. This is, I'm so curious.
Ronna McDaniel joining us now. Ronna, good to have you here. Thank you very much.
That's not true.
Reaction to no majority emerging in the first House for the Speaker vote for Kevin McCarthy.
The first House for the Speaker vote. Yes, she was trying to read the teleprompter and the chyron at the same time. It's a mistake. Don't ever do it.
McCarthy.
Well, I look at the contrast with the Democrats who very clearly are going to elect Hakeem Jeffries. And I think the number one thing I always hear on the road is, why do Democrats always seem to stick together and Republicans don't? And the American...
And because you assholes ignore it whenever the Democrats don't vote together. And Democrats in disarray is a fucking meme now. It's been used so many times by the news. They don't. But again, it's interesting to see that the illusion of, that they say there's a lot of like Democrats that say the same thing around Republicans.
American people want us to take the...
Well, yeah, in fairness, good point, chat room. The Democrats didn't used to until Joe Biden was president, and now pretty tight.
Reins of the House. We just retired Nancy Pelosi. It was done in large part because of Kevin McCarthy and his work.
No, it wasn't. It was because of redistricting.
And I think any delay...
If it wasn't for redistricting, they would have lost.
...is a delay in getting the business and the work done of the American people. I don't see policy differences that are dividing these votes right now. Kevin wants to tackle the border. He wants to get rid of the 87,000 IRS agents. So I think as the votes continue, he's going to continue to bring members his way, I hope.
That didn't turn out to be the case. He lost votes every time.
He is the one who retired Nancy Pelosi. He was the minority.
No, he isn't.
Minority leader. He switched it so that we can have a Republican speaker, and you see broad support for him. The vast majority of members support Kevin.
Yeah, but you need all of them because your win is so narrow so as to be nearly meaningless.
Rana, we see up there that 12 people have voted others. And if I could just bring up the graphic on the screen, we as of this morning, had 14.
Yeah, and by the way, he knows instantly, because this is Fox News, that none of those people who voted others are Democrats.
Republicans who were either firmly opposed to Kevin McCarthy as Speaker or were certainly leaning in that direction. Can we bring that graphic up? Is that possible? So we can get a look at, there's the 14.
There you go. Biggs, Gaetz, Good, Rosendale, Norman, Perry, Gosar, no surprise, Crane, look at this fucker in his hat. Paulina Luna, is there another Luna? You just couldn't say Luna from Florida. Ogles Luna, not surprising. Clyde, Harris, Bishop, and Chip Roy, who, by the way, apparently he doesn't want to be Speaker, but he doesn't want McCarthy to be Speaker either. And by the way, this grew.
Who were either skeptical of or outright opposed to Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. Congressman Dan Crenshaw was on Fox and Friends this morning, and he said that...
Well, my condolences to him.
Doing what they're doing plays right into the Democrats' hands. Listen to how he put it here.
Mm-hmm. If I didn't know any better, it's like the Democrats paid these people off.
Yeah. The Freedom Caucus was bribed by the Democrats. And by the way, you have proved you don't know any better, but by just saying that out loud.
Hey, let's pay them off. Let's make it look like the Republicans can't govern and don't.
Yeah, dude, it didn't cost Democrats a fucking dime. These people are doing it of their own free will. Don't lay it on fucking Democrats. Talk about passing the buck.
Deserve any gavels whatsoever. That's what it makes it look like.
No, that's what it actually looks like. Because no one made them do this. They did this to themselves.
Again, their demands are foolish. Their demands are inside baseball procedural issues.
So speak to that, if you would, Rana, as we go back to the vote count here with 127.
Talk to me about that more. This has gone up.
For McCarthy, 120 for Jeffries, 12 voting for Jim Jordan, Andy Biggs, and other folks. The opponents of McCarthy really can't even articulate what it is that they want here. And
yes, they can. Not McCarthy seems to be their articulated position.
And in doing this, what are they doing to the Republican Party?
They're not doing anything to it. They are accurately reflecting the disarray and sort of garbage structure of the entire party. They're not doing anything to the party. They are the party. That's how the party works. This is the party doing their homework. This is the party whipping their own members. This is the quality of candidates that they've managed to put together. This is what it looks like. Same thing happens when Democrats break away from the leadership and and stomp their feet or hold their nose to vote for or against something. It is reflective of the Democratic Party as a whole. The problem is the Republicans have been priding themselves on this bizarre Donald Trump lockstep maggot idea, which has been a farce the whole time and continues to be a farce.
Well, I'm in Michigan right now, and I was just talking to somebody who said this makes the party look bad.
No, it shows that the party is bad. This isn't just an appearance. This is the actual governing structure of the party itself. Wearing something unflattering makes you look bad. It doesn't show that you are bad. This is just grotesque nudity.
Elected Republicans to take over the House, and why can't you guys unify?
Gee, I don't know. Maybe it's because you have this kind of every person for their selfish Ayn Rand bullshitter. It doesn't matter how much you have to lie, just as long as you get power structure for each individual candidate in the election process. The more they're like Donald Trump, the better. And he fucking lost, so you elected a bunch of losers.
And it's division for division's sake. I'm not seeing a...
Well, and that's descriptive of the raison d'etre of the GOP now.
Policy separation. Kevin is certainly not a moderate. He is somebody who has tackled the border, who has tackled big issues. He also raised the money and recruited many of the candidates that were just elected, not just in 2022, but also in 2020.
Right, and even they aren't voting for him. Interesting. By the way, as the GOP leader, he has to. It's not an option.
I will say this. We have a big task ahead of us in 2024 to take back the White House. The Senate map.
Yeah, you're going to fail, but go ahead.
Gets infinitely better, and we have to keep the House. And every day that we are delaying the agenda that the American people elected Republicans to govern with is a day that we are not getting the work done of the American people. And it's 5.
Right. That's precisely what the Freedom Caucus is shooting for.
It's 10. The vast majority of the members support Kevin. These 10 who don't, I hope they come around.
20.
Because we have to unify. We have to unify. I think this is the biggest message coming out of this midterm. If you look at all the split tickets, if you look at states where Republicans refuse to vote for other Republicans, in a large part, that's why we didn't get the wins that we wanted in this election, because
you don't say.
The Republican on Republican infighting, and it is carrying into this speaker election, and I think it's something that's disheartening and is not bringing...
As the leader of the RNC, have you ruminated, even partially, on the idea that you yourself have some responsibility in this debacle that the Republican Party seems to have crafted for themselves? Did it ever occur to you that fish stinks from the head, and that maybe Ronna McDaniels and Donald Trump and the titular heads of the Freedom Caucus that are very loud and all over the country, like MTG, like Matt Gaetz, like Lauren Boebert, like Gosar and Roy and all these, maybe, and Mike Pillow, yeah, maybe, just maybe, you fucked up. Yep, that poison pill, Trump, that's right.
People to our party. We need to show a vision of positivity and an agenda of getting... No, that's not what your party is about. Never has been, isn't going to be going forward. You after you elected Donald Trump, you told Ronald Reagan's ghost to fuck off. Getting things done for the American people if we're going to continue to get elected in these next elections, and we need to elect a speaker.
Ronna...
Yeah, technically, but you're not going to.
Hardline members of the House Freedom Caucus, as we have seen in recent days, have indicated over the last few days that after this first vote, which is going to conclude shortly, that they would nominate a new candidate around who they hoped Republicans could support. Can you add?
Yeah, no, they didn't. They nominated Jim Jordan and Chip Roy, which the other folks in the caucus will not support.
Add any color to that on what we should know?
Yeah, I don't know who that would be, Sandra. I mean, the reality is Kevin has a huge group of Republican Congress people who support him who are not going to move. They are not going to go for any other candidate.
Well, there you have it, folks. Donezo.
So when he's at over 200 votes for him, and there's maybe 10 or 12 that are differing, the majority are going to stick with Kevin, and I don't think they're budging. So this could go into multiple votes. And why are they with Kevin? Because he was the one traveling the country. He was the one raising millions.
Again, because he had to. Why are they with Kevin? Because they can't afford to change horses midstream because it looks weak to them, and it looks less weak than than bringing somebody else up or having a split vote.
Millions and millions of dollars. He is the one that just secured a Republican majority. And
no, he isn't. Again, gerrymandering.
In the House, I think a lot of us did that together. But he.
Right, she wants credit too. But I mean, it was me, and I would take the speakership if they offered it to me. But I just don't want to. I mean. What are the hours?
He is the one who did the work. And I think a lot of these members are very, very, very loyal to him, on top of the fact that he's
except for the ones he gave a couple of $1 million to, who just told him to fuck off.
Going to be a bold leader as Speaker, and he is going to do the things that Republican voters want Republican leadership to do.
You know, Rod, I mentioned a moment ago that a lot of these opponents of Kevin McCarthy can't really articulate what they want.
Yeah, but that's pretty standard Republican politicking these days.
You know, we had on Fox and Friends this morning one of the opponents of McCarthy who just basically said we can't keep doing things the way that we've been doing them.
Right. That's a standard Republican line.
Without pointing to specific details. They do have some demands. One of the demands is that they want the threshold to, quote, vacate the chair, that is to bring to a vote changing the speaker, to a threshold of one member of Congress. McCarthy offered 5, down from 50% of the caucus.
Jesus Christ. First of all, 5 is fucking lunacy. 50% of the caucus should be required to vacate the speakership, stupid. Shit, even a quarter, 50% of the ruling party would make sense. If just over half of your own party wants you out, then they can call it that makes sense. But 5 is crazy. 1 is just insane.
I mean, when you take a look at demands like that, do they seem reasonable to you?
5 isn't reasonable, dumb shit.
Or is this, as Dan Crenshaw put it this morning, just an exercise in self-aggrandizement?
And 5 isn't?
Well, I agree with Dan. This is not something that the American people care about right now. I mean, we are still dealing with our kids having deficits after the pandemic. We have a border
deficits after the pandemic.
Crisis. We have.
What is it? What's the border crisis? Oh, I know. Title 42, artificially raising the number of crossings and making it look like more people are crossing the border than before, and that the wall doesn't work, and that to build the wall it required the building of access roads, which has made it easier for human smugglers to get people to the edges of the areas where that used to be not traversable by footpath. And okay.
A recession looming. We have massive layoffs happening across the country, and we still have an energy issue with gas prices being high. The people in the country right now are looking at this and saying, what is going on?
Well, yeah, but in their defense, the folks that you're talking about don't actually expect Republicans to do anything about it. They didn't even elect them based on a plan to solve those. They just said we're going to solve it. They didn't say how.
Why can't this party get it together and unify so that we can hold Biden accountable?
I know. Ask me. Because you're all fucking crazy. That's why.
Remember, Republicans, we have so much more in common than what divides us right now.
No, apparently not.
And if we can't come together and take on the Biden administration, the people who elected us are being let down. And that
No, I don't think they are. I mean, I think most of the people who elected those folks, the holdouts, the kind of Republicans that voted for them, voted for intransigence and obstinance and stubbornness. They don't even want to function in government.
That is what they are seeing right now because of these holdouts who are refusing to elect a Speaker of the House for the first time in 100 years. I think we need to come together. We need to unify. We need to unify in our opposition to the Democrats. But right now, this is not helping our party.
Rana, to go back to my last question about who could emerge here in the coming days, referencing the House Freedom Caucus, indicating that they would nominate a new candidate. Are you right now rejecting the idea that anyone other than McCarthy can lead Republicans in this new Congress?
I just don't see movement from the McCarthy camp. I don't see many members who are going to abandon Kevin, just like these 5 holdouts or the 5 who are saying we won't vote for Kevin. There's a lot more people who are saying it's got to only be Kevin. So
Yeah, there's no only Kevin movement. Get the fuck out of here.
I just don't see.
If he steps down, they'll vote for somebody else.
Any movement there right now. Obviously, this will go into multiple votes. But everybody needs to remember the American people.
And by the way they're going to try and finagle this and why they called for a recess so they could start again tomorrow is that right there. If you raise the number of people who vote present, it changes the balance of how many people, because the present votes don't count as a vote for someone else. So they just remove themselves from the percentage. And so if you have more people vote present, if he finds the votes to vote, to have 16 people vote present, which unfortunately, I mean, it would have worked when he had 9, but let's say they can get some of these people to come back on board because they kissed their ass or promise them something. And then they get 10 people to vote present, which lowers the standard. And he gets 213 and Hakeem Jeffries gets 212. I guess that's enough. It might even have to be higher than that percentage-wise. But 1-to-1, if he can get that extra vote over the top, and there's enough where they zero out these guys with present votes. But if they miss by 1 vote, if one person doesn't get the fucking memo and votes, like if, let's say they get this number down to 10, which I don't see happening, but let's say they get it down to 10, and they get 10 people, to vote present, or 11, I guess that would be it. So you'd want you'd want to erase their existence. So you need however many are going to vote this way, and then you got to have people who are going to vote present based on the final count. So you got to go by, like, I guess, alphabetical, because if somebody else chimes in that you didn't factor in, you're going to need another present later. Oh God, the finagling. They're going to be up till 3 o'clock in the morning tonight, and it's still not going to work. Tabby, thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. And Bethany, thank you as well.
People just retired Nancy Pelosi and elected Republicans to lead the House of Representatives. And
yes, by voting for people like George Santos.
Every day we are delaying, we are letting down those voters. And this is what we need to be focused on, the voters and the people who just retired Nancy Pelosi and put Republicans in charge.
So, Rana,
she's so hoping to get out of this fucking conversation. They are literally, she's waiting for them to go, thanks so much, and bounce her.
The fact that the vote is going the way it is would seem to be an indication that this is not a vote for somebody else. This is a vote against McCarthy. And that if McCarthy were to continue to stay in the race, he's never going to make it to Speaker. Chad Perkin was talking about going back to examples of 1849 and 1856 to describe where we are here in 2023. Is there a potential?
By the way, that would, it's no surprise the Republicans are basically trying to relitigate the Civil War.
Potential consensus candidate out there, a Steve Scalise, a Lee Zeldin, somebody like that, who could get the votes necessary to become Speaker?
Well, I've been getting a history lesson watching your show and listening. I didn't know about the 1856, that vote that lowered the threshold. I think we're in for a long run. I really don't see many of these members, because I've been with them. I campaigned with Kevin. You look at candidates like Juan Ciscomani, or you look at Wesley Hunt, or you look at these candidates that...
Yeah, but he can tell them to go ahead if he's not going to have it. Like, it's what she's saying is it's up to Kevin McCarthy to call this bullshit off, and I don't see him doing it. That's what this is about. Those people are going to keep voting for him until he bows out, and he doesn't have the votes, so he's just going to drag this shit out.
Kevin.
Which is fucking hilarious, by the way. Can we just enjoy it for a moment? We can just enjoy it.
Recruited and got over the finish line. Look at California. Duarte, Young Kim, Michelle Steele, Ken Calvert, Mike Garcia. I mean, these are pickups that we got under Kevin McCarthy's leadership. I don't think many of them are going to budge. So I know we're focused on these holdouts against Kevin, but the vast majority of members are strongly supporting Kevin.
Right,
so I think we're in for a lot of votes.
But it is the holdouts that are preventing him from becoming Speaker, not the people who are supporting him. And if they don't change, he's toast.
I'm hopeful that they will change. I am hopeful.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe hold your breath.
Hopeful that they will listen to the American people who said, we wanted a Republican Speaker. Please give us that. Find a way to repair your differences. Find whatever division that you have and solve it. And let's
just keeps going up.
Let's unite and remember what we're here to do, which is take on the Biden administration and work on the behalf of the American.
No, you have to understand. There is a huge chunk of the Republican Party whose job, they don't view their job as taking on the Biden administration or Democrats or anything, but to single-handedly destroy functioning government as we know it. Again, the Republican Party for a very long time has been running on the idea that government can't do anything right, elect me and I'll prove it. And the natural return on investment, the ROI on that kind of thinking, and the idea of like a government so small you can drown it in a bathtub, is that eventually you start electing people that are tired of waiting. They get sick of waiting for it to get small and then just decide to drown it anyways.
Do that, Rana. Who's going to unite the party? I mean, why is your party at this point today?
You know,
because they're a crowd of assholes. Just, if I might pipe in.
I think it is. I think the vast majority of the party is united. I mean, you're seeing these few holdouts. So I think Kevin's going to continue to have discussions. He's going to work with these members. And I think you're going to see other members like Jim Jordan and others continue to talk to these other members and say, let's come together, because right now we need the American public to know that we can govern. And as you...
But you can't. There's 5 of these fuckers are dug in. And you're not offering fucking anything that is going to make them feel okay about it. And if they take it because of, the Donald Trump philosophy that they all seem to live by, which is that, saying you're sorry is toxic and recognizing your limitations is weakness, they can't. And if they do, their own caucus will eat them alive. And they only live in this mythology of strength, this fake machismo bullshit. They can't walk it back, which is hilarious.
You have multiple votes. I think you're going to see more and more people come over, but I'm hopeful that...
By the way, that's not how it played out. The more votes they had, the more votes he lost.
That happens. I think that's what should happen. And I know
By the way, tomorrow is going to be fucking hilarious. Is it possible that they threaten and cajole and he gets, that Donald Trump fucking calls people on his behalf, or Kevin McCarthy calls in the big dogs, or they threaten people with like IRS agents or the FBI to get them to vote? I'm going to release these text messages of you talking to Sergei Lavrov, that kind of shit to get them in line. But whatever it takes, it would be hilarious if they manage to get these folks to vote, or they, again, create 5 present votes to zero out the ones that are there to like lower the threshold. But if they don't coordinate it right and they lower the threshold too much, Hakeem Jeffries becomes speaker.
That's what the voters want. They want us to start governing.
So Ronald, let me just finish off here.
By the way, if they wanted you to, quote, start governing, then it wouldn't have taken gerrymandering to get you in office, and it wouldn't be this narrow.
By pointing out that this is not a new problem in the Republican Party.
Did the Senate do this? Yeah, the Senate moved ahead.
Party when they have control of Congress. There were years.
I think their day is the 6th, is it not?
Years past, in the not too distant past, where bills were brought to the floor by Boehner, I recall, that failed. And you know, the Nancy Pelosi rule was you never bring a bill to the floor unless you know you've got the votes to pass it. So this is something that didn't just happen. This has been going on for years. And whereas at the same time, you've got the Democrats, as you pointed out, operating in lockstep with each other, not just in the House, but the House together with the Senate. Pelosi and Schumer were always on the same page. And until Republicans...
By the way, that wasn't always how it worked out. They just learned the lesson that if they weren't, Republicans would use everything they had to stop even normal shit. That happened in reaction to the intransigence around things like the debt ceiling and shit like that, which would shut the fucking government down. They had to be in lockstep to make stuff even move slightly normal. If they could be looser with it, they absolutely would. But they can't afford it.
Start to function like that. Can you ever expect to effectively govern?
By the way, you're operating on a false premise. The Republicans have no interest in actually governing. That's the problem. That's why the number of people voting against him is growing. Look at that. Look at that. 17. What's their margin in the House? 6?
No, I think we have to start working together. I mean, I look at states like Arizona right now. I mean, look at Arizona. The top vote getter in the whole state was a Republican. She got 1,375,000 votes. And the other Republicans that were running in that state, you know who didn't vote for them? Republicans.
Fuck you, Mike Pillow, basically is what Ronna McDaniel is saying.
So if we're so hateful towards each other that other...
Yeah, again... that's going to be my ringtone.
The Republicans won't vote for us, then we're doing exactly what the Democrats want, right? And so this scorched earth, I'm going to...
No argument.
...take on every other Republican instead of focusing on who voters want us to focus on, which is the Democrats. Remember, the Democrats who are leaving our border open. They're the ones who kept our kids out of school. They're the ones...
No, they aren't. They're the ones who got your kids back into school after Trump took them out. Which, by the way, was a smart move that he had to be talked into doing.
Who have allowed crime to run rampant in our streets. That is the Democrat Party. So as long as we're fighting each other, we are not keeping our eye on the prize. And I think we have to get the speakership settled, and we have to go forward if we're going to be successful in 2024 as a...
By the way, just for the record, when that on the crime running rampant thing, Democrats voted overwhelmingly to elect Joe Biden as their candidate, the author of the crime bill, and a moderate around these issues, not somebody who has a more extreme, no cash bail concept or defund the police. Anybody who ran on that didn't have a chance. So Democrats overwhelmingly want a reasonable and responsive issue, focus around crime. There's no extremism. They just make that shit up.
United party, and right now this exemplifies exactly what the Democrats want to see from our party.
By the way, I don't necessarily want to see it. I don't really give a fuck. But what we're seeing is your party. This is what they are. This, and again, this goes to the whole thing like this makes us look bad. You are bad. You suck at this. You have not earned the right to run any of this shit because you can't even get your own goddamn ducks in a row. Oi.
Ronna McDaniel joining us during the live breaking news that we are covering on Capitol Hill at this hour.
18.
Ronna, we appreciate you joining.
I think it went to 20, didn't it?
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Steve Ducey, and I'm a complete moron. By the way, you're watching HAL SPARKS Mega Worldwide. Historic day. These are the good times. So good. Let me see if I can bring up a... There's a bunch of Yeah, here you go. This is Fox News again, clamoring earlier today about getting Republicans on board with voting for McCarthy. This is one of Trump's favorites, Harris Faulkner and whomever. Let's see.
Into it with Republican Mike Walsh from Florida now. So first of all, I thought it was interesting. Virginia Congressman Bob Good, Republican obviously, did have a point. I mean, Republicans have every right to do this. Isn't this what we saw on the left when Nancy Pelosi faced a challenge from Representative Tim Ryan among the Democrats?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, except.
Thanks for having me.
They worked it out before vote day.
Harris, look, the thing that I think so many of us are so frustrated.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so Jordan got 20 votes on the third ballot. Oh, it's so good.
About is that this standoff is over a lot of procedural gobbledygook.
No, it is not. It's about power within the Freedom Caucus thinking they deserve more than they do, and an absurd level of control from singular House members over the speakership, which is fucking dumb.
Frankly, 5 members to vacate the speaker, 1 member to vacate the speaker. Every American that I talked to when I was back home in Florida doesn't understand this stuff. It's a bunch of procedural Washington swamp talk.
No, it isn't. As a matter of fact, the swamp talk would mean that you would require more of a consensus, and that would lower the chances of it happening. They want like an electoral college control over the speakership in an absurd fucking way, where a low population district can overwhelm the rest of half of the voters.
What they want us to get to is China. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. Tell us about Harris Faulkner. Oh, yeah. Biden's already doing that.
With Hunter is getting
nobody cares.
Subpoena power to get to the bottom of the origins of COVID that have damaged so many kids. I personally want accountability for 13 Gold Star families. Harris, we can't get to
accountability for 13 Gold Star. He means what? He mean getting out of Afghanistan? 3 months after the established date that Trump set up, that if we violated, the Taliban would open fire on our soldiers altogether, and he left with no plan. Because I hope that as part of, and this is side shot, but let's say the Republicans actually get their shit together, actually get a speaker, actually put this fuckhead or some of his other compatriots on a panel to talk about the exit from Afghanistan. Do you think they're ever going to ask for like the Donald Trump plan to get us out so they can show it on the floor? Why didn't we go with this? Now, that's a trick question because it doesn't exist, but they're not going to go anywhere fucking near it. And again, if there is no option but to stay forever, then what the fuck are you talking about? Trump set the date. We had to push it. He didn't do any of the homework. He didn't have a plan. He's been lying about it. If they subpoenaed him to come in and go, Mr. President, Mr. Former President, we wanted you to have a moment to tell everybody how this should have been done. Fuck off with that nonsense.
Any of that. We can't get sworn in. We can't establish committees. We can't put the first bill on the floor, which, oh, by the way, is to defund the 87,000 IRS agents.
Yes.
We can't do any of that.
Yes.
Until we have a vote.
Love it. Defund the IRS. Yes. And not just because my husband works on Wall Street and Republican funding comes largely through Wall Street, and those are who those 87,000 IRS agents would go after for hiding money overseas, which is why you need so many of them.
For speaker. So my message is now is the time to be united. We voted as a conference for Kevin McCarthy, and we need to stand firm against the Biden administration, against the Democrats in the Senate.
And your fellow Republicans.
And against our adversaries around the world that want.
Well, no, they're right here. They're in the building with you right now. Go talk to them.
Want to take down America. Enough is enough. Let's get on with the people's business. That's what they elected this Republican majority to do.
Well, look, and if anybody is wondering whether or not this is just, pomp and circumstance where you guys are concerned, at 11:59:59, so in about a half an hour from now or so, you become again Congressman-elect.
That's right.
Because we end one Congress and then go into the next one, and without the Speaker of the House, you're just like in limbo for a little bit. So this is very real. Has McCarthy given too much? Has he capitulated too much is a question, because now what are the bargaining chips? He's giving in and then people want more.
And by the way, Harris, the House will be presided, while we can't establish ourselves, by an appointee of Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, cool.
See, it's just good. It's just good. It's good. So good.
The House clerk will be overseeing Nancy Pelosi. So actually, this holdout and the standoff is empowering them. Look,
Yeah, do we, one quick second, do we have any reason to think that that clerk isn't a Democrat? No, probably not.
No, it's a Nancy Pelosi appointee,
right?
of course.
Okay.
Of
Power
course
to
she
the
is.
Democrats while you guys work it out. All right, go.
Again. Yeah, I'm going to chafe my nipples by the time this is over. Yeah.
That's right. But to your point on concessions, look, this place is broken. A lot of things need to be cleaned up. Speaker Pelosi would take $1 trillion bills and craft them in the dark of her office and give us
the dark of her office. How did she read them? I mean, how do they know the pages are in the right order?
24 hours to try to get through it before.
What happens if they sign the other side?
Or demanding an up or down vote or a government shutdown. So a lot of things need to be broken. I think a lot of.
Yes. All right. Freudian slip. Did you see that?
An up or down vote or a government shutdown. So a lot of things need to be broken. I think a lot of the things that.
There you go. Freudian slip. There's the Republican. That's the Republican standard. A lot of things need to be broken.
That Kevin McCarthy has done moves us in the right direction, but we're moving into
McCarthy ahead of voting. Gonna have a good day. To quote Joe Biden, not so much.
Now from appeasement to a hostage situation, and we can't hold the agenda, the Republican agenda, hostage because of some personal agendas of.
Apparently, you can.
Just a few members.
What is the talk with the 5 people in Congress right now?
The 20.
Who have things that they want? I mean, is that something that different groups of you are assigned to? Okay, go work on this thing. How are you getting through this?
Well,
please tell me the strategy.
McCarthy's dealing with them directly.
Okay, so that's why he's losing support by the second.
And personally, my understanding from this morning's meeting is last night there were individual demands for chairmanships. Look, the rest of us all have to compete we have to compete amongst our conference for who's the best qualified. That's
maybe you should hold out and threaten to have him lose your vote too. I mean, do you even Darwin, bro?
It's healthy. There was even a suggestion of letting a Democrat speaker come in so that they could just fight
that's the Gaetz
against them. Look, at the end of the day, that's not what we were elected for. We were elected to hold them.
Somewhere in time is asking, McCarthy is strong-arming them? No, he's not. He doesn't have anything he can strong-arm them with. Usually the leverage is against whatever whatever your constituents would want. So I'm not going to give you what your constituents would want if you don't do this. Well, the White House and the Senate ultimately are crafting the bills by like state. So if whether it be like pork projects or actual infrastructure stuff or any of that stuff, there's plenty for everybody in the Republican caucus to like cut a ribbon on and pat themselves on the back, whether they had anything to do with it or not. And at the same time, clamor against the federal government, which is exactly why they're cutting and the Democrats, which is exactly why they're cutting the ribbon on some of this shit. It doesn't make any sense to start with. You cannot negotiate with a fucking lunatic.
This administration accountable and get this country back on track. That's what we need to get through this afternoon. And the thing that has me so upset as someone who served all over the world is Authoritarian regimes all over, the North Koreans, the Iranians, the Cuban regime, certainly the Chinese Communist Party, are pointing to us.
Not Vladimir Putin. You're not. It's weird. Rep Mike Waltz of Florida. You didn't add Vladimir Putin to that list? I mean, he's been talking about nuking American cities. So he might make your list. You fuck.
Us right now and saying democracy's too messy. That's why you need to side with us and not America. That's unacceptable. We need to get our.
No, they're just saying, well, the Republicans are fucked up. The Democrats had it pretty well. When the Americans elect Democrats, they kick our ass and take names.
Our act together. We need to move forward.
Yeah, I think you're kind. I mean, you know what an enemy looks like. I think they're pointing to us with some other thoughts in mind.
What?
But that's just my take from covering it for so long. Congressman, for at least the next 30 minutes, and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
perhaps we'll see after that. I really appreciate your time.
But yeah, he's a congressman-elect now.
And
He's
you're
still
breaking
tomorrow.
it all down. Great to see you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Harris.
Hey, everyone.
By the way, he didn't break it all down. He just whined about the limitations that they found. Let's see. There is a... Yeah, here you go. So this was 3 big dummies sitting on a couch in the morning. Yeah. And Fox and Friends, this is them leading off the day. This is before Kevin McCarthy lost 3 votes, and they had to vote. They had to make a motion to adjourn for the evening so they could come back tomorrow and get some people to vote present so they could lower the statistical average or the statistical basis of the number that they had to reach. And, God. Like, some of them's going 15-3, and that makes a percentage. And if we need, how many do we need now? 7. 8. Does that mean we want 8 or we want 6? Fuck. Like, that's what's happening in McCarthy's office right now. And by the way, I know, but I'm not going to say, because on the off chance that some lunatic maggot troll is watching that also feeds into these yay RSBN feeds, tells them I don't want to help in any way. They just got to earn it on their own. Bootstrap, motherfucker, bootstrap.
All right, so today at noon, they are officially going to start the 117th U.S. Congress.
Yeah, that didn't turn out to be the case.
And Kevin...
Maybe tomorrow. Probably not.
McCarthy, it has been presumed, will be the next speaker, but you know... And in fact, he's already moved in. He's moved into the speaker's office, and he's been working the phones, negotiating with holdouts.
No, they actually came into the office, and but I think it's a mistake to unpack. I'm just going to say that. I wouldn't pick the drapes yet.
Some are saying between 14, 15, or 16 different Republicans who are saying absolutely not to Kevin McCarthy. He can only afford to lose for Republicans. So right now, it looks like he will not get it on the first ballot.
Yeah. And the second and the third.
Yeah, there are 222 Republicans that will be sworn in today. The gavel will be removed from Nancy Pelosi. Republicans, they have said over and over.
By the way, she handed it over. That's how it works. It wasn't removed. They didn't come and seize it from her. Asshole. Secondly, she got to pick whose hands it went into because these fuckers couldn't get their act together.
They're so eager to start these investigations, to look into the DOJ and the
super eager.
The FBI, their abuse of power, allegedly. They're
yeah. Allegedly looking into it or allegedly the abuse of power?
anxious to look at Hunter Biden and his
They got lots to
influence
do.
with his dad, exactly the origins
Nobody gives a fuck.
of COVID. But first they have to elect a speaker and they don't have the votes. If he doesn't get the number.
Look at Kilmeade. He's got papers in front of him. He doesn't like anything that he has to say.
Of votes he needs on the first time.
Look at him with like sneaking glances. My turn. Should I pipe in? Should I? Nobody's talking. Is my IFB off? Am I supposed to be talking right now? I hear noises, but it's a woman's voice, so I don't listen to what the words are. I just hear the dulcet tones.
Then there will be a second vote, which will be the first time that's ever happened in the last 100 years.
It's the first time it's happened in 100 years, not the first time it's ever happened, because ever would include previous. Never mind.
So the question is, what did Kevin McCarthy do, and what did he pledge not to do or to do that's ticked them off? They talk about swamp leadership. If you want a leader that actually produced, over the last 4 years, no one has turned over more seats or was a bigger surprise in 2020 than Kevin McCarthy. And then he has a slight margin this time. He can only lose 5 votes and 4 votes, and he's already lost 5. So he sat down with Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, and Scott Perry. None of them left the meeting converted. But interesting, Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska said Monday that a band of moderate Democrats would work with Republicans, would work with Democrats to elect McCarthy. They are frustrated, as are a lot of people. Think about this. You're not saying 50-50 who's going to get the 51st vote. That's controversial. Right. You're talking about he's 85% there. Almost everyone's there.
He has more votes than anyone else.
And
who else do they have?
No. Hakeem Jeffries has more votes for Speaker than Kevin McCarthy does. Dum-dum.
Right. Why won't they, if they said, hey, listen, he won't do anything on the border. He's not doing anything with Hunter Biden. He's not going to do anything to go really in spending. None of this is true. So it's almost as if they're debating things that are their egos, nothing to do with America. I'm not even talking about.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry, Trump supporter says what?
Republicans. Republicans are Democrats. They can't grab onto anything except for, I guess they want to get a little bit more notoriety in their lives.
Well, what? Are you trying to tell me that there are chaos agent egomaniacs on the Republican side?
Ultimately, and Brian, you mentioned Don Bacon. What Don Bacon, who is a Republican from the unicameral state of Nebraska, what he has suggested is that in the past, he said, we're not going to be held hostage. However, right now, they are being held hostage.
Right. So I guess he was wrong. Are you sure he's unicameral?
He said yesterday, if McCarthy bows out, he may run a candidate against Scalise if Scalise is on the second ballot.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like you ever see those moon pillow ads and you're like, wow, beanbags are stupid, but they make it look so comfortable. I feel like I don't need one. I feel like I'm just on a feather bed, just being fanned with palm fronds.
He says that the guy he's got in mind, the person he's got in mind, is currently in Congress, but will not be in the next Congress. And so that means it looks like Fred Upton, who is leaving.
Or Lee Zeldin.
Leaving Congress. Now, the brilliance of that move is the fact that Democrats would vote for Fred Upton. He's a moderate. He also voted for the impeachment of Donald Trump. So essentially.
Oh, please introduce that as a name. Oh, God, it just keeps getting better. It keeps getting better. Like, imagine Kevin McCarthy trying to go to sleep tonight. The dude is going to wake up with all of his teeth ground down to nubs. Oh, Scalise is way worse, but he doesn't have the votes. Oh, God. Oh, this is amazing.
They're putting that out there as a backstop. Hey, you don't like McCarthy?
Look at him. Look at Kilmeade's dumb face.
How would you?
I know it's hard to tear your eyes away from her knees, which, because she's in a short skirt, are barely. Somebody moved the flowers just to the left, just because whoever directs Fox and Friends is fucking gross.
You like Fred Upton?
What about Andy Biggs?
Right.
Andy Biggs will be on the first ballot.
Right. Andy Biggs would be a great idea to take on Mark Levin. That'll really unite conservatives.
Sources also say.
Yeah, I think he's trying to be sarcastic.
And we were talking about this during the break, that he's willing to agree to this motion to vacate, which means McCarthy has agreed to say, if I don't do a good job, if you don't like me, you can vote me out.
Right.
Which is
crazy. It would take 5 people right now, but he's talking about just one person. Ultimately, though, if they had that vote, then a majority of people would stick up for him. Now, here's the thing.
But to me, that is the craziest thing to give into. How are you supposed to do your job and not?
Right, Brian. Hey, you're on to something, stupid.
You have 200 people you're going to be representing.
No. You don't. This is like 400 plus. It's not that 5 Republicans can move to vacate. 5 House members can do it. Unless the rules that they try to put forward is only people from the dominating party can have this vote, which is just hilarious.
5 don't like what you do, that you're out. And so conservatives who back McCarthy said, wait a second, why did you agree to that?
Right.
Because if you agree to that, then how effective are you going to be as speaker? You can't kiss everyone's butt in order to do that job. You got to do it.
Hi, dickhead. Your entire party is nothing but ass kissers and people who demand by force to be rimmed nonstop by those people. It's a fucking buttocks coin flip.
It's better for the whole, or dare I say, better for the country.
He probably said,
It is better for the whole, in general.
says, I'll do anything to become speaker, and then once I'm speaker, I'm going to do such a phenomenal job that they'll all agree with me.
But in whose eyes?
But here's the thing, Brian.
Right, in whose eyes? Because you're dealing with lunatics.
That rule used to be on the House. It was Nancy Pelosi who said, no, we're going to get rid of that. So anyway, the New York Post has got an editorial, their lead editorial is to these renegade Republicans. And the headline is Stop Sabotaging McCarthy's Bid to be Speaker. And here's what they say. They say, okay, this is their plan of the Republicans, those renegade Republicans, the dissidents. Step 1, rather than hit the ground running after 4 years out of power in the House, deny party leader Kevin McCarthy the speakership by a handful of votes. Step 2, we got no idea. Actually, so what is their idea? Bob Good, who is one of these dissident Republicans, was on with Fox and Friends yesterday, and Greg Jenkins said, okay, you're not going to vote for Kevin McCarthy? Who are you going to vote for? Watch.
What we'll do is we'll block Kevin. There'll be, I suspect, 10 to 15 members who will vote against him on the first ballot tomorrow that will vote for Andy Biggs. But then I think you'll see on the second ballot an increasing number of members vote for a true candidate who can represent the conservative center of the conference, can motivate the base, inspire Republicans across the country, get to 218 votes, bring our
He means Trump.
Conference together to fight against the radical Democrat agenda, the most extreme agenda we've ever seen. I'm not going to resist for a few more hours what I have resisted for the last several weeks, because, as you know, if we were to put forth a name right now over the last few weeks, that person would suffer all the attacks and retaliation and all the
Just
threats.
so you don't have a name. I mean, what leader?
Absolutely. Griff, you'll see that name tomorrow on the second ballot.
Griff did such a great job, just because Bob Good really is upset, reportedly, because Bob Good didn't get in, because Bob Good wasn't endorsed by Kevin McCarthy, and Kevin McCarthy financed the guy who was running against him in the primary because
Bob Good is a fucking lunatic and would pull shit like this and think it's smart.
Because the guy, the minority leader, always supports the incumbent. Right. So for this guy to be angry, he goes, well, he didn't call me right away after I won. Right. So is this personal? Yeah. Can anyone?
Yeah. She's so wise. Yeah.
Should not take this job if it's about your ego and your personal agenda. Right. The whole.
I'm sorry. What? Trump supporter says what?
Thing should be service for the country, and the subset is your party. Please explain to me how this helps your party. You're looking like idiots in front of the country.
Exactly. Republicans.
Well, no. In their defense, they don't look like idiots. They are idiots, and people are seeing it. That's different than looking like idiots. It's not that the American people are mistaken in describing them as idiots. It's accurate.
Need to unite. The Democrats never seem to have this problem. It's the Republicans that can't ever get together.
Right. And that's the kind of group you want in charge of all three branches of government.
The New York Post said they've been out of office for 4 years, or out of the majority for 4 years, and this is how they want to begin it, divided.
Can I just build on what you just said? It reminds me of 2 years ago when Nancy Pelosi, with a slight majority, had to deal with the left wing of her party. They clearly disagree with Nancy Pelosi. So to their credit, the squad is totally different on a different place than the speaker. So you knew they got to get behind closed doors and work it out. All they say is he's a swamp creature, or he didn't do this, or I don't like him. They don't like him. That's not an agenda.
So this is Fox and Friends.
Who are the names that the House Freedom Caucus and these dissident Republicans are talking about? I spoke to somebody very close to the House Freedom Caucus last night. They have two names, Steve Scalise and Donald Trump.
All right, so
please have someone nominate Trump tomorrow during the session. Somebody has to. For fuck's sake, somebody has to. Matt Gaetz said he would, and he didn't. Doesn't he have to? Doesn't he? Certainly he's got to be seeing on social media everybody calling him out that he said he would nominate Trump to be speaker, and he didn't. And please, someone nominate Donald Trump so he can get 4 fucking votes. Or 12. Some pathetic number.
So ballot number 1, the vote is today. You said at noon. If they don't have enough votes, it goes to ballot 2. And it sounds like, based on that soundbite, it happens today as well.
Right.
Genius. Wow, thanks. I'm so glad she's on the news to help us all work through this.
Absolutely. Kevin McCarthy privately has said he will do everything in his power to stay on the floor until he is elected.
Apparently, it was beyond his power to not go pee-pee.
And keep in mind, and for these dissident Republicans, there are rule changes that
a dissident is here.
They have had in the past where rather than a majority of 218, they could simply go for a plurality. And then Kevin McCarthy would win if they had that rule change. And then all these people who had said, never in a million years, suddenly he will be the speaker, and they will find the slim pickings on committee assignments going forward.
Yeah, so that's the idea, is that to solve this, he's going to punish all these people and then try to spend the next 2 years without them torpedoing everything. Dems should nominate Trump to troll the GOP. I was saying George Santos. I think they should nominate a Democrat, should vote for Jeffries, but nominate George Santos.
Now you know why Paul Ryan threw up his hand and said, I'm quitting.
It was originally 5 holdouts, and then 9 others wrote a letter saying they're going to hold out as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's 14 now.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Thank you for the math at the tail end. And look at her, adding 9 and 5 without getting a nosebleed. And you guys said there would be no progress on Fox and Friends this year. Look at that. Basic edition, and nobody shit themselves. Obviously citation needed and not wanted, but that's it. That's the current state of affairs. Now we'll end. Let's see. There's so much shit. Fuck. This is funny. This is the end of it, by the way. I love this. McCarthy may not have votes to become speaker. Yeah, it turns out, nope. McCarthy loses third round of voting for House Speaker. First time since 1923, speaker vote requires multiple ballots. Dissidents demanding more power in the GOP-controlled House. Cross the fucking board. The 3 votes were a stunning political rebuke to the California Republican, who had spent much of the past year courting hardline conservatives in the House GOP caucus. Okay, we got to end on this. I know I'm a little over, but please bear with me. This is this is Mike Davis, not that Mike Davis. The only white man that ever got me was Mike Davis. It's the wrong Mike Davis, but founder and president of Article 3 Project, which apparently is this ridiculous thing behind his head, and it says. Look at this. Look at the title of this. This is, by the way, Kevin McCarthy, a creature of the swamp and shouldn't be speaker. Mike Davis on speaker vote. This is, I guess this is the dude that they had on right after or shortly thereafter Marjorie Taylor Green was, I guess, yammering at Steve Bannon. Let's see.
I want to bring in Mike Davis. Mike, you're a fighter. Right.
You look like a fighter. You don't look at all like a middle management dweeb. You don't look at all like someone who was just let go from an insurance firm and just out of camera is holding a file box with all of your knickknacks.
We know that, but in this way, is this walk me through your experience on Capitol Hill with what your perspective is about this fight that's about to take place that, quite frankly, is 12 years, longer than that, but definitely since the Tea Party revolt in 2010. It's 12 years brewing between the populist movement, the American people, the little guy, versus the cartel, sir.
By the way, the cartel is the rhinos in this case. Hilarious.
Well, I was
By the way, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up, support the show. If you like supporting, patreon.com/HalSparks. Thank you to our Patreons, first and foremost, for making the show possible, because you're going to be why I get another mic to replace this one that was popping and cracking and hopefully fixing. So thank you.
Intern for House Speaker Newt Gingrich back in the fall of 1998 during the impeachment proceedings against Bill Clinton. And I remember pretty clearly that Speaker Gingrich was king of the hill one day and out the door the next. And so things can change quickly on the Hill. If you don't deliver as the speaker, you shouldn't be the speaker. It is a
well, there you heard it.
Very powerful position. You essentially
hang on. That part of history is amazing because it's not the 94 revolt. I want you to go through, this is very important, about 98, and they had all the issues about the impeachment. But the 98 midterms didn't come out like they thought. Walk us through what happened to Newt Gingrich in the flash, and then Livingston, his replacement. All of a sudden, Newt Gingrich was the man, and then he wasn't, right? Walk us through that, Mike Davis.
Uh-huh. Yeah, please. Everybody at home, feel free to loosen your belt.
Well, what happened was that House Republicans should have picked up House seats in 1998. It was an off-year election with Bill Clinton as president. It should have been a good year for Republicans, and House Republicans ended up losing House seats that year. And so it could have been for the impeachment. I was all for the impeachment. That's the office I worked in, was the Speaker's Policy Office, where they ran the impeachment.
So it was your fault. I'm glad they're having you on.
But it turned out...
By the way, I blame Hillary.
...bad politically, and Speaker Gingrich, who I greatly respect, they turned on him very quickly. And then Livingston was the Speaker designate, and then he had some...
I like designate.
...personal issues come out, and then Dennis Hastert came out of nowhere and...
Boy, did he.
...became the House Speaker.
Yeah. Dennis Hastert. The Republicans didn't like Livingston, so they elected a guy named Dennis Hastert. Now, I don't remember what happened to that guy. Does anybody remember what happened to Dennis Hastert, if I may? Hold on one second. No. Get out of here. Decline. 1 second. Here you go. Oh, yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. The Republicans, in their third choice, after they broomed Newt Gingrich and had this other guy in temporarily, put in this guy, which was, I think, the longest running Republican in House history. Like, he kept the seat for a long time. Hi. Oh, thanks. Look at that. I was brought a smoothie. I must have done something right. Yeah. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the person that the Republicans thought, you know, I don't like this Newt Gingrich character. He failed to give us enough seats, so let's put in this guy. By the way, open secret among Republicans. Former U.S. House Speaker Dennis Hastert, a man who accused him of child sexual abuse, reached a tentative out-of-court settlement Wednesday over Hastert's refusal to pay the man $1.8 million, the outstanding balance in hush money that the Illinois Republican agreed to pay the man in 2010. Lawyers would not release details of the settlement, arrived at just before a civil trial in the case that was set to start. It would have focused on a novel legal issue about whether Hastert's verbal agreement to pay $3.5 million to buy the silence of a man he abused as a teenager amounted to a legally binding contract. The man has been referred to as James Doe in court papers since the breach of contract lawsuit was filed in 2016 in Illinois, in Yorkville, Hasert's hometown, just west of Chicago. The hush money deal would eventually lead to a federal criminal case against Hasert 5 years later, and to public disgrace for a GOP stalwart who, for 8 years as House Speaker, was second in line of the secession of the presidency to the presidency. In the federal case, prosecutors said Hasert sexually abused at least 4 male students between the ages of 14 and 17 through his years at Yorkville High School. Hasert was in his 20s and 30s. Federal prosecutors said during criminal proceedings that the hush money deal was voluntarily entered into and that the victim never sought to blackmail Hasert, that he'd go public about the abuse. The abuse happened when the victim was a high school wrestler. What is it with the Republicans and wrestling and sexual abuse? I'd ask Jim Jordan about it, but he looked the other way. And the now 79-year-old Hasert, who was his coach. Just a quick reminder for those who don't remember. And this guy, by the way, supported Hasert for the role.
And then Livingston was the speaker designate, and then he had some personal issues come out, and then Dennis Hasert came out of.
By the way, what fucking personal issues did that guy have that Hasert beat him out for it? And by the way, like I said, open secret about Hasert and his past in the Republican caucus.
Nowhere, and became the House Speaker. What I would say about today's current House race is, look, we have a whole different world over the last 3 years.
No, we don't.
Since 2020, when it's no longer the liberal Democrat Party, it's the Marxist left Democrat Party. We saw this with BLM.
Yeah, so because we label them as Marxist lefties and blah, 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 Joe Biden is all of a sudden a radical Leninist. I guess, no. I think Steve Bannon is a radical Leninist. He even says so. I guess that would make Biden a radical Stalinist or Maoist or some shit. All of a sudden, instead of the moderate that drove away big portions of the hyper left during his run for the presidency.
We saw this with Antifa. We saw this with COVIDians. We now see it with gender
COVIDians.
Chaos with pronouns and trying to groom kids in schools and gender affirming care. This is a new world we're in, and we need to make sure our political leaders are up to speed. They're willing to fight in this new world.
They are willing to fight against each other. Good luck with that. The Republican parties is definitely full of fighters.
And from what I've seen from Kevin McCarthy, he's not. He's just not willing to. He is a creature of Washington. He cares about keeping the lobbyists in Washington happy. He's been doing big tech's bidding for years. Jeff Miller, his top lobbyist, has taken millions of dollars from Apple and Amazon, and now Jeff Miller's running. He's the campaign manager for Kevin McCarthy's.
Hang on. The reason you were to intern with Gingrich. You were.
By the way, I don't know why this is choppy.
Also, the clerk for Gorsuch, who I think is with Alito, the two leading intellectuals now we have on the court that's driving the court to the right and basically to freedom and liberty. Mm-hmm. So you know where this comes from. You've also taken on the tech oligarchs. You've been sitting there going, hey, look, unless we get, this is not about 230. We have to basically have a trust busting almost like they had at the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah, except you don't have like one telephone company and that's the point of communication. There are a dozen fucking companies. There is no trust. Otherwise, Truth Social wouldn't even be able to exist. Stupid.
To take the
not that it really exists. It's kind of it's a paper bag with a fart in it, but still.
Apart. When Russ Vought calls this a cartel, do you buy that theory of the case that you have an administration?
Yeah, call your own people a cartel.
Administrative state that has the things like the oligarchs in Silicon Valley in basically have a piece of ownership of what goes on in Capitol Hill?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen this.
Yeah, you have to say the word absolutely to be on the war room.
Vividly during COVID with, it's between big tech, the pharmaceutical industry, The bureaucrats like the Fauci, the Tony Fauci's and the Deborah Birx, the bureaucrats, the CDC, absolutely. We saw it very personally. All of us did how dangerous this is to our personal individual liberties with these COVID lockdowns, with the censorship from big tech. If you dare to,
by the way, this motherfucker thinks he lives in China.
Question these COVID lockdowns. They censored doctors.
Why isn't Bannon in jail right now? Because he hasn't had, like, there's time between his sentencing and when he actually has to carry out his sentence or some shit.
And
oh, and Trump pardoned him.
Scientists who questioned COVID measures.
Yes, absolutely, and outrageous.
And they censored these doctors who ended up being right. And how many?
Yeah, it's true. COVID turned out to be the result of demon sperm.
Millions of people unnecessarily suffered, even died. How many kids were kept out of school? How many kids are years behind in school? And look, these aren't the rich kids where their moms.
By the way, most of the quote flyover states, most of the Republican states where they have really bad reading numbers, really bad math numbers anyways, they were out for a total of like maybe 6 months. 3 in the end of the year of 2020 and 3 in the beginning of the next year into the 2020-2021 year. And then they all went back. My kid was out for like a month and a half before summer break and then a month and a half. And no, he went right back after summer. He went right back to school. They wore masks, but he was in school.
Can afford to get them tutors and take care of them through homeschooling. These are oftentimes the poor Hispanic and black kids who suffered the worst during COVID. Democrats pretend like they...
Yeah, asshole. It's one of the reasons why rural broadband and broadband in general and the removal of lead pipes was a priority in the infrastructure bill, which I'm sure this fucker is against, by the way, to make sure that underserved communities like inner city black kids and Hispanic kids and white kids and rural kids all have access to the same quality of internet so that they don't have to park outside a fucking Taco Bell or a Starbucks and use their internet to go to school.
They care about minorities. They don't. They use.
Also, never forget, the Republicans who constantly tout that the Department of Education sucks and our schools only turn out drones and that homeschooling is way better, think that the kids, their kids specifically, are permanently damaged because they weren't sent to a state school for a couple of months during COVID and had to be homeschooled, which made them stupid and antisocial, apparently. Am I the only person pointing that out? Trump was constantly saying, like, in short, that homeschooling makes you an idiot.
They use them every time to achieve their Marxist political ends. And it's just...
What Marxist political end would that be? What's Marxist about not wanting a kid that might not be killed by a disease to not carry it home and kill his parents or grandparents who might be more susceptible, or take it from home to his teacher who they might give it to and scar him for the rest of his fucking life? Jimmy, you're the reason Mrs. Campbell died. What?
It's sickening, and we need leaders who recognize this and have the backbone to stand up to this.
Which is definitely not Kevin McCarthy, according to this guy. Enjoy.
In this process, you've got 3 camps. You got the hard nose, and they each have a different reason why they're hard no. With the never Kevin crowd, you've got then the 9 signatories of the counter proposals to McCarthy, and then you got the Lauren Boeberts and the others. As you've seen the process, talk to us about the process. Does the process and what they're proposing not just shifted to the right, but are they informing this? The opposition on the right in the MAGA movement, are they informing what's happening on with all those issues of big tech, big money, the cartel?
The cartel. Okay, first of all, let's just be abundantly clear. Currently, Republicans who always called themselves the party of like success and money and affluence and growth and you know, and innovation and greatness and blah blah blah, are currently in a massive sore loser funk. And essentially the only arrow they have in their quiver is to attack success. Anything that's big apparently is backing Democrats, which is not the fucking case at all. But anything big must be backing Democrats. So Democrats are Marxists, but all of the big corporate industries, including, by the way, they mean fossil fuel companies, are supporting Democrats. What in the world? What are you talking about?
What they've laid out as far as rules and content about debt ceiling and others, is this what was needed to either break the cartel or at least to shift the entire conference to the right?
Absolutely. The speaker.
Absolutely. It's outrageous.
Is such an important job. Look at what happens every year with the omnibus or other spending bills. The speaker goes into a back room with the White House staff and the Senate leadership. They negotiate some horrific backroom deal that blows apart spending, a spending spree, and then he comes back to his.
Nancy Pelosi isn't factoring in. This has never happened. Maybe he's still talking. In his defense, he's probably still talking about Dennis Hasert, the Republican.
Conference that says you have to vote for this, or you know the country's going to go off of a cliff, or something bad's going to happen. So,
which is oftentimes the truth.
It's a process completely controlled by the Speaker of the House. If we don't have a Speaker of the House who is red-pilled and committed,
red-pilled, fuck off,
to our populist conservative agenda, that is a big miss, and we don't need to have this big miss. Why do we need Kevin McCarthy? If he's not okay, let's say that it has to go for a few extra hours today. Big deal. Or even
a couple extra hours. And then if it has to, at the end of those couple of extra hours, go a couple more hours, and then at the end of those hours, if it has to just stop and try again tomorrow, who gives a shit? Why can't we just keep doing this until 2024?
A few extra days. Big deal. Remember, Kevin McCarthy says that we're not going to be able to pursue our oversight agenda if we don't elect a speaker today. That's nonsense. Remember, he hasn't even picked all the committee chairmen who would do the oversight because he's worried that he'll alienate or anger people who will vote against him if he doesn't.
Right. The people that this asshole supports are demanding speaker seats on committees and subcommittees, or they're not going to fucking vote for him. Of course he hasn't put out a fucking list, dum-dum. Oh, God, this guy's so stupid.
Pick them for committee slots. This is all... these arguments are all disingenuous. The elections matter. We need to elect the right speaker today. Or tomorrow, or the next day.
Yeah,
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Or the next day, or weeks from now, or a month later, or you know what? Fuck it. Maybe we have a group speaker. Yeah, here's a good idea. Why don't you rotate speakers on a cycle? We vote for these three people, and you pick by rock, paper, scissors between McCarthy, McCarthy, Scalise, and Jordan, and then they just kind of filter through like the fucking corporate commies they are. Jesus Christ. By the way, we'll check on our way out. Breaking. President Trump declines to say whether he will continue to endorse Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. If he wants my vote, he better stop supporting rhinos. Whatever. We'll see what happens. Replying to Donald Trump Jr. What did he say? Did he vote for him? Let's see. Private meeting yesterday, Gaetz, Boebert, Perry told McCarthy they want their own legal entity in the House to wage lawsuits. The group also told McCarthy that they don't mind if the Speaker vote goes to a plurality and Rep. Jeffries is elected because they'll fight him. We all want House leadership to be as conservative as possible, but I'm not okay with throwing House leadership to Dems and never Trumpers. Being fine with Hakeem Jeffries becoming Speaker simply out of spite for McCarthy isn't what a Republican voted for in November. Disaster. Yeah, that's what you call disaster in the Republican Party. We call par for the course, to use a phrase that you understand because you're stupid. Hearing that we could end up with a never-Trumper or a Dem as Speaker, McCarthy committed to a select committee on the politicization of federal law enforcement and real investigations in the Biden administration and the border. But we won't get any of that with a never-Trumper as Speaker. Let's see. I sure hope there's a plan to ensure the House stays Republican, not just a plan to block McCarthy. There's now serious risk we lose the House. Oh, God. I'm getting chafed nipples all day. This is all day. I'm going to go back. This is so good. Oops, even more stuff. McCarthy made big deals, did not have skills to solve the problem. Jan 6 was chaos. Kevin McCarthy embraced Trump, backfired. The Atlantic. U.S. House in chaos after Kevin McCarthy loses Speaker votes. From dailyvisitors.us. What the fuck? Look at this. No to McCarthy for Speaker. If you want it... No, listen
in the swamp, you cannot...
Hold on, back up.
Those of us who will not be voting for Kevin McCarthy today take no joy in this discomfort that this moment has brought. But if you want to drain the swamp, you cannot put the biggest alligator in charge of the exercise.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about either. Like, I'm sure there are swampier people than fucking Kevin McCarthy. Swarthier, I don't know.
I'm a Florida man and I know of what I speak.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's why I put you in the song, dum-dum.
We offered Kevin McCarthy terms last evening that he rejected. We saw...
Yes, because they were fucking bananas.
A vote in the first quarter of the 118th Congress on term limits. He refused. We wanted a budget from the Republican Study Committee that balances on the floor in the first quarter. He refused. We wanted the border plan that the Texas delegation put together on the floor. He refused.
Which involved seceding as a state.
And it is true that we struggle with trust with Mr. McCarthy.
Yes, but I mean, at least people can trust you. Not with their, 17-year-old daughters and a fistful of drugs. But, another, I don't know, any more than they could trust, I guess, Lauren Boebert's husband not to whip his dick out in front of teenagers at a bowling alley. You guys gotta hang out. No pun intended.
Because time and again, his viewpoints, his positions, they shift like sands underneath you. Even
like sands through the hourglass. So are the votes of McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy's own mentor recently said that the lies always change. And Mr.
Well, then, do they stay lies then, or are they just, it's a new lie? Does he have like a spinning wheel of lies in his office?
McCarthy is not only responsive to pressure from the right. Time and again, he has failed to achieve the goals that we seek on spending and on the fight. For months, we have been asking Mr. McCarthy for his battle plan. How do we ensure that we stand up for folks in the military who feel like they're being purged?
Well, one of the ways is for voting for the PACT Act, which you fucking voted against.
How do we ensure that if there's the passage of a farm bill, it includes things like work requirements? And all we got was a handful of howdy and a mouthful of much obliged. So we do not want to be here at this moment.
A handful of howdy and a mouthful of much obliged? Dude, you're from Florida, not Oklahoma. Calm the fuck down with this Mike Huckabee horseshit.
We would prefer to have a unity of purpose, but we will not continue to allow the uniparty to run this town without a fight.
There it is. The establishment, the uniparty, the deep state.
There's very little difference between Nancy Pelosi and her California delegation mate that seeks the gavel. And we want to change because this town is broken. And this is a person who has acknowledged in Mr. McCarthy that the town has broken, and he has been a part of that process for many years as a member of the leadership. We'll take some questions.
Let me ask the three of you a question here. So let me just clarify something. You're based on your remarks, Ms. Bobert's remarks, and Mr. Perry's remarks. Are you saying because we took things to this brink in the 11th hour right before the Speaker's vote, he is unqualified to be Speaker? In other words, a Speaker, a leader, would have worked this out a long time ago.
Well, yeah, I reject the premise of the question. We did not take this to the brink. For many months,
yeah, they did.
we have been presenting these ideas to Mr. McCarthy.
Yeah, and he rejected him a while back, but you guys didn't take fuck off for an answer because you didn't have anywhere near the votes to get anybody else elected, and he thought that would put an end to it. But you're lunatics, and he's stupid for believing you.
And we have gotten strung along, and only on New Year's Eve did we see changes to the rules. And what's interesting about the meeting we just had is our colleagues broadly...
Yeah, that's because he didn't have the votes then. He was trying to... Like, it was stupid that you should have come around by then. It's not him that should have come around. He's got like 200 and something thousand, 200 votes, and you've got 6 fucking people. Not that I care, but this is ridiculous.
Celebrated rules changes that many of us had been fighting for to ensure that we had an opportunity to read the bills before voting on them so that we did not get log rolled with multiple pieces of legislation put together that don't have the same subject, so that we had germanity rules so things like the National Defense Authorization Act wouldn't be amended onto a water infrastructure bill. And we did not get timely responses from Mr. McCarthy. We did not get substantive responses from...
Yeah, stupid, because that's the only way a lot of shit will pass. You want these things put out separately. I want these things put out separately because I think they will pass in a Democratic caucus. He wants them to, he's got to have them attached to other shit, or you motherfuckers won't vote for anything.
For Mr. McCarthy, because I think he thought that just by going on your network and others, that he would browbeat us into submission to the swamp. And we're not going to do that.
Yeah, he's got far too much forehead for that kind of browbeating to work.
So just to be clear, none of what you heard in there from McCarthy was enough to get your support.
Everything I heard hardened my resolve that this town desperately needs change, and if it's a few of us who...
This town needs an enema.
...have to stand in the breach to force it, we are willing to do so for...
Stand in the breach. Fuck off. You're standing in a hallway. You're not. This ain't Sparta, dum-dum.
For as long as it takes.
In the fucking breach. These guys, these elevated bullshit. Ugh, God. Hilarious. By the way, the right is trouncing him online right now. You're going to strip those who vote for someone other than McCarthy of committee memberships. Did I actually hear that right, GOP? And you wonder why we're sick of your bullshit? America and a Russian flag. 45 J. Bama. Totally a real account. He wasn't the one 7 years ago. He wasn't on Tuesday either. Read PK Capital on GOP leader. His support has always been a mile wide and only a few inches deep. Kevin McCarthy. His support will never hit bottom, but he'll scrape the shit out of the sides, says Ashley Parker. Who, what? I remain skeptical about Twitter, Washington Post, MSNBC. Okay. Hope is not a plan. So tell Gaetz to get a better plan. He organized the opposition, only got 20 votes. Gaetz has not provided any option to McCarthy or Jeffries. Right. Yeah, stupid. That's how they get elected. They don't get elected to do shit. They're an opposition party. This is the worst day McCarthy's had on at the Capitol, and he was almost murdered there. That was funny. What Matt Gaetz and AOC talked about during Kevin McCarthy's during the speaker vote from the Intercept. We can't swear in as members of Congress until we elect a speaker. We can't form committees until we elect a speaker. We, Republicans, obviously I don't include the people in the we, can't fire Nancy Pelosi loyal staff in the House and Capitol until we elect a speaker. We can't investigate anything until we have a speaker. Hilarious. Look at this. And then what this response. Evil bunch of jerks. No one will settle for this pig McCarthy. We don't settle anymore. Yeah, she's calling her that. Oh, this is so good. Pizza on its way to Kevin McCarthy's office. Never a good sign. Look at all that fucking pizza. Wait, but can't the police use those pizza boxes to figure out that Kevin McCarthy's still in D.C.? That's funny. No, but the Brazilians might use it to figure out where George Santos is. Although he'll eat 6 pieces and say he hasn't had any. All right, I gotta let you guys go. We'll scroll through this all night, and I've got in the morning. Philip Bittner will be joining me from Kiev. He's doing good, and we'll talk to him tomorrow in the second hour of the morning show. And I love you guys, and boy, has this been fun, and you're awesome. And 18 pizzas. Yeah, he's a cheapskate, and he's only talking to people who are friends. And Boebert's on a carb thing, I guess. So anyways, you guys are wonderful. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Shadow Woman, for the gift subs all night. Thank you, Jonathan and Elizabeth. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks, Elizabeth. She goes, hi, Hal. I've been waiting all day to hear your thoughts on today's events, and you didn't disappoint. Well, thank you. I'm glad I was here to break it down. honest to God, right before the show, I thought I was going to come on air just in time for the 4th vote and have to come on and go, all right, well, I guess we'll just take it live and we'll watch what happens. And then somebody raised their hand and asked to adjourn till the next morning. It was fucking hilarious. Excuse me. And I don't think tomorrow will be any fucking different. That means a very strong chance they might have multiple votes tomorrow. Either way, this is fucking embarrassing and hilarious and historic and silly, and most people pass over it after a time, but it'll constantly dog this dickhead, if he does become speaker through a plurality of votes. I doubt it, though. Yeah. So, yeah, hilarious. It's going to be a good time. Anyways, until tomorrow morning, join me if you want in the morning show, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 9 a.m. Pacific time for a couple of hours. And then in the afternoon, I'm here every day at 3, except for on Thursdays when I'm on at 4, and Sunday not at all, and Saturday not at all in the afternoon, except I have the morning radio show. I did that terribly. I'll work on it. I got to work on breaking it down a little better. I'm on every day except Sunday. Yeah, let's start there. Okay. Anyways, much love to you guys. Thank you so much for your support, your time, hanging out, all that stuff. Historic day and super fun. Okay, bye. Thank you, Katie and Diane. Thank you.